My name is Dave Fauquier. This is my wife, Vanessa. What we're going to do a little, in the advertisement, if you will, for this, it stated we were going to go from 10 to 12. We're going to go from 10 to maybe 12:30, if that's okay with you guys. We're not going to take a break. We're just going to go right on through. We got a lot of material. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to throw in that maybe isn't on your resource sheets or maybe you don't see up on the slide. But we're going to get as much stuff as we can into this presentation in 2.5 hours. If you do have to take a break, you all know where the restrooms are. And the food will still be out there, I assume. How many of you, before we introduce ourselves, just so we kind of get a feel for the room, how many are new to RE/MAX here in the room today? Hands up. How new?
6 months.
6 months? Year? 2 months? Okay, relatively new. Good. And everybody else has been with RE/MAX for a while. It pertains to both of you. My name is Dave Fauquier. I've been with RE/MAX for over 25 years now. I've served in probably every capacity there is. But the place to be, that's where I am right now, and that's being a RE/MAX agent, listing and selling homes. That's where all the money starts, at the bottom. And that's where I am today. So I'm big on education, as you can see from the slide up here. I got most of the designations you can get that I believe are profitable to me. And I've been in the RE/MAX system, again, like I said, 25 years, and 30 years I've been in real estate. Went to RE/MAX very early on because I kind of figured it out that this is where you need to be if you want to be serious about the real estate business.
And I am Dave's wife and partner, Vanessa Fauquier, and I've been working with Dave in the real estate business now for over 10 years. And I had a previous life. I was in corporate America and was a sales and management trainer. And at some point, I think it was post 9/11, decided that I didn't want to do a lot of that travel anymore. So now my travel is, actually we live right in Somerset Run, so our travel here this morning was really quick, 5 minutes right out the gate. So we're really excited to be here because Dave and I, and Dave being around for so long, for the 25 years, and my background, we love to come and share information that we've put together, and to keep in mind that what we talk about here today, we don't have all the answers. We have a way that we've kind of taken a lot of information that's been out there, a lot of different training programs and resources, added some of our own tools and techniques, and put it all together. But by all means, our objective here today is to share with you and for you to share with us too. If there's something out there that you know about that would contribute to us, we're always reinventing. As you know, we've done this program a number of times now over the years, and every time we do it, it's never exactly the same, right? Because what happens? There's always new tools and new things out there that we need to incorporate in. So we're constantly changing. So please share with us too anything that you might have to offer to us. And I am not holding my phone waiting for that call from the buyer or seller that I'm working with. This is actually the remote for the keynote that we're working with.
That's just one of the technology things that we're going to talk about that you guys can use. Using a keynote, your iPhone, using Keynote to make a presentation, and use your iPhone as a remote. We'll talk a little bit about that and show you how to do that. This is something that again, nothing really new under the sun, but I sort of came up with this little chart here, and we're going to talk about some different things in different areas of it. But it's a cycle of real estate business success, and in our opinion, this is the way you should do your business. And if you focus on all of these things, we're going to talk a lot about is mainly the listing end of it, exceptional service, set expectations and exceed them, and put them into what we call community care and contact. That's not really what ours, that's a Brian Buffini thing about staying in contact with your clients and doing follow-up and getting referrals. So, who's using technology? A lot of what we talk about in listing presentations, buyer presentations, and anything we do in real estate today, I'm sure we can all agree, technology is taking over. It's changed our business since the first time we did this presentation. I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. About 5 years ago.
About 5 years ago, and we were doing PowerPoint and
totally
laptops.
Different.
Yep.
Totally different. we thought we were pretty advanced 5 years ago. We were talking about making a PowerPoint presentation on a big old laptop that you brought to the house. And we thought we were way ahead of the curve. 5 years, look where we're at now. We're going to talk a lot about that. So who's using technology? Little children are using it. Older people are using it. Right across the board. Everybody, even Santa Claus, is checking his list on his iPad. Let's just real quick get a little foundation under us. We talked about all of the things that are changing the world and how it's affecting real estate. They're using drones now to do things like check crops, police surveillance, inspecting oil equipment, aerial filming, and they're using drones in war. You can go to the Brookstone store or Sharper Image online and buy your own drone with a camera on it and fly it around your neighborhood. You can get music from your iPhone in your car. GPS is in almost every car there is. Real-time traffic maps, and you can start your car with your phone. You've seen the commercials for Chevrolet. TVs, the smart TV. You can change the TV, be on the internet with a wave of your hand. Kind of really cool stuff. We have one of these TVs at home, and it's really neat, even though I haven't gotten into most of the things on it. Wired Magazine did a study of the world's 50 most innovative companies. It was pretty exhaustive. And if you look at what the top 4 are, Amazon, Google, Apple, and Facebook. And there's a connection between all of those. Those are the top 4 of the 50 most innovative companies in the world. So what they're doing is changing our lives, and there's got to be a reason for it because people are connecting with that stuff. And the last thing that we all either embrace or we dread is social media. And this is about what social media really looks like. Because every time you turn around, there's a new, whatever it is, come along that we're all encouraged to go use. It's a way to connect people across the internet. 15 years ago, for those of you who've been in the business a long time, there's the real estate agent with the keys. Those are the keys to the castle for mortgages, listings, access. If a buyer wanted to buy a house, what did he have to do? He had to find a real estate agent. Couldn't get a mortgage without a real estate agent. You couldn't find the listings without a real estate agent. And you couldn't go look at the houses without a real estate agent. That's changed totally. It's turned around totally 360 or 180 degrees. That was just 15 years ago. What's missing from social media and other tech tools and resources is personal contact and relationships.
When you think of technology, don't you think of it as somewhat impersonal? Like even if you bring out a laptop or a keynote or an iPad presentation, we sometimes think that that's moving you away. So we have to look at it in terms of how do we actually bring the social part of it back in? How do we get the contact and the personal relationship going with folks? So that's gonna be a big focus of what we talk about. Because here's a saying that Dave always has.
Still have to put them in your car, right? I've been saying that for a long time. The very first guy, there was a guy in my office back where I work now. Jackie knows him, Alex Rodelko. He's the first guy to have a computer in his office. He had a big old Mac. It's like this big. He's still got it at home. And he's sitting in front of it. He had made spreadsheets and all the software we have today. He put it all together himself. And he would sit there and sit there and sit there. And I would always say to him, Alex, you still got to put them in your car. And I've kind of, that's been going along with me for a long time because I think social media, when it first came in and as it progressed to where it is today, it's gotten a lot of agents in our business sidetracked. Facebook. And they don't really understand what they're doing. It's really hard. Social media is a hard thing to understand about how you're going to connect on your internet through Facebook or Pinterest or whatever it is, and how am I going to wind up getting a client? But you're encouraged from everywhere you look. Every time you turn around, somebody's throwing some new social media stuff at you and saying, get involved in this, get involved in that. And if you really think about it, it's really hard to put your head around how that's going to help me sell a home. Still got to put them in your car, right? let's go back to this for 1 minute. We're here to talk about how to put wow into your listing presentation, right? So you guys all came looking for something that's going to like, wow, put me over the top. But before you can get to any of that stuff, any technology, any video, whatever it is we're going to talk about, the very first concept, in our opinion, and we kind of live by this, is you still have to have the mindset that you're here to serve your client. Serve your client. You're not here to make money. That's an end product of this whole thing. If you serve the client, you will make money. You'll get paid for your service. So if you're just here to make $1 and you don't care about serving your client, you're going to have a challenge, in our opinion. So that comes into the exceptional service, community care and contact. And again, that's not our saying. That's a Brian Buffini, Peak Producers. Any of you are Brian Buffini fans. We subscribe to his way of doing business. That's serving your client.
And just so that you know also, the slides that we're presenting from up here are not, we didn't do in the spirit of trying not to kill the environment. We've created just a small workbook there for you to take some notes down, but all of the materials, we're going to talk about this later, all the materials we're going to review that are at your disposal to take, customize, and work with are all going to be available online, okay, on the RE/MAX of New Jersey website. So, you know, if you want to jot some notes down here, by all means, feel free to do that because it'll keep it top of mind if you actually write things down. But don't feel like you have to have every single thing that we talk about down because you'll have access to it.
One day in the future, which maybe won't be that far away, we hope to come here and there are no workbooks. You all have iPads and you're all taking notes on your iPad. That's just kind of the way it's going to be. It really is. And it won't be that far away.
Exactly. So we're kind of going back a little bit just to talk about, so what is our goal here today? Our goal is to infuse your presentations with some wow, but not just for the sake of adding technology or fun and games in there, but it's really to help you get the listings that you want. And we all know that you may not want all the listings that you actually go on appointments for, correct? There are some of those that they're, for whatever reason, but we want you to be able to get the ones that you really want. And then also to manage your listings effectively. And the point is to avoid some of the headaches. We know that there are always problem clients out there, right? Problem sellers. No matter what you do, you can't solve all the problems for all the people. But our objective is to make it as headache-free as possible by adding some of that wow. And that wow is going to be in terms of both content and technology. Make sense? Okay. So let's look at that because we're going to define wow in a specific way. The content that we're going to walk through of how you actually build a presentation, an effective listing presentation, is going to have 3 key elements. It's going to help you to differentiate yourself, demonstrate competency and value, and educate the seller. Our experience has been if you include information that covers those 3 topics, there's no reason why you shouldn't walk out of a presentation where you want the listing and be able to take it with you. Okay? You work with RE/MAX, for God's sake. We should be able to get those listings that we want. So that's our intent.
And again, go back to the key thing I just said before. Those 3, every one of those things in some way, shape, or form is serving your client. You educate your seller. You're serving him. You're giving him. You're bringing value to the table. Demonstrate competency and value. The value part of it. Again, you're serving your client and set yourself apart by differentiating yourself, showing why you're different than the next guy, than the Century 21 Weicker Coldwell Bankers and ERAs of the world. You're serving your client. You have a duty. You have a duty to do that. If you're going to take their listing, you have a duty to do these 3 things.
And if you're doing that, you're keeping the customer in mind because you're going to be answering the key questions that they're thinking about in any listing presentation when they're talking with you. They're going to think about, can I trust this person? And if they're going to trust you, don't they say that they have to like you if they're going to trust you? There's a certain amount of that goes into that. So you've got to answer those questions. You've got to tell them what you do that others don't do, right? Because that's what they're thinking. What do you do that I'm not going to be able to get somewhere else? And then lastly, what will you actually do to sell my house? And that's the educational piece of it. You've got to give them some information too and let them know what you're going to be doing. Part of our plan is to lay it out so that there are no questions or surprises along the way. We're going to give them all the information they need so that the expectations are there and it's established ahead of time. So let's start with the first one, differentiating yourself. We're all going to do it just a little bit different because we are all different, right? And that's the whole point. So to set ourselves apart, we need to talk about the RE/MAX story. It's different than other stories, and Dave's going to walk through that in a moment, different than all the other companies. We're going to talk about developing a strong relationship. How do you get on the same wavelength with people? You ever have clients where they call you and say, oh, I was just thinking about you, or because you're on the same wavelength. That works to build the relationship and help the process go smoother. Present quality materials. We'll talk about that, and that's both in terms of print materials or online materials, and then incorporating technology. It is going to be a way that you differentiate yourself because you're going to do things differently than somebody else is in terms of using technology. Dave, you want to talk about our RE/MAX story?
Does anybody know the definition of a commodity? What a commodity is? Anybody?
Something that can be bought for the same price anywhere.
Got it. He's got it. Something that can be bought for the same price anywhere. The commodities market, apples, fruit, sugar, whatever it is, it's all the same. In my mind, everybody else, ERA, Century 21, Weichert, Coldwell Banker, right down the list, they're commodities. If you really look at them, right, if you really look at every one of them and lay them all out side by side, there's really no difference. They're a commission split company. They all do similar things. Some do a little more than others, but for the most part, they're all the same. RE/MAX, however, we're not even close to the way they run their companies. That how you can serve your client, totally different than you can if you work at a conventional company. All right? So the key thing here, what we're talking about now, is the RE/MAX story. There's a story to tell. In the resource list, in the back, there's not in the back, but in the RE/MAX, it's called the RE/MAX story. All right? There's a script in here that I came up with that I've been using for many, many years. What my suggestion is to read this, read it over and over and over, and kind of create it as just comes off the top of your head, and understand the concept. And when you talk to a seller, tell them the RE/MAX story. The important parts, the things that are other than explaining the concept, which we've given you here, is the charts, the different things you have access to at remax-nj.net. That's all in the back of the resource list, or remax.net, which is commonly known as Main Street. You go in there. There's a lot of different resources in there that shows the difference. Nobody sells more homes in New Jersey than RE/MAX. Duh. Now, it's a little better than what all the other guys can say, right? There's a reason. Our concept works, and it works. There's the results. It's not about, there's a certain company out there, won't go unnamed, who says they're number one. And if you ask them what they're number one in, they have the most agents. But we sell the most real estate. You explain that to a seller. How is RE/MAX different versus the competition? There's a chart in there for that. Branding. If you look down, you see our business card, right? That's our business card. I've seen a lot of agents do something similar to this. They try to brand themselves, RE/MAX agents, trying to rebrand themselves. When you work for the most recognizable brand in the world when it comes to real estate and a lot of other things, they say it's the balloon. I don't think it's the balloon. I think it's the RE/MAX yard sign. So our business cards look exactly like one of the most recognizable things in the world. Our name badge, see it over there? Vanessa's wearing her name badge. It all connects together. When you wear that name badge, you hand that business card to somebody, or you even have that business card in your hand and somebody else is in a conversation and they see it, they know what you do. Try this. Wear your name badge or wear a shirt that's got RE/MAX on it and wear it all the time and go in a grocery store, walk around. Chances are, I guarantee you, if you do that all the time, you will sell 2 to 3 more houses a year. You'll engage people in a conversation. They will engage you because they know what you do. It happens all the time to us. Don't try to rebrand yourself. You already are branded. The other thing that's sort of a pet peeve of mine, I see RE/MAX agents with all kinds of different kinds of signs. They think they're gonna, they go outside the standard, and to me, that's our sign. Everybody knows what that sign is. And your business card and a name badge all connected together, the brand.
You know, and Tom, I don't know if Tom Ferry talks about being a secret agent. You know, you don't want to be a secret agent. You want people to know that you're an agent and what you do, and that is all part of that branding part of it. So make it known. Wear the badge. Be out there, but make it be legible so people can recognize where it's from.
Again, the sign you want, the agent you need, their branding is already there.
You know, differentiating yourself, part of it can also be in the way that you develop a relationship with someone. Do you ever have somebody just actually choose to do business with you because of the relationship, because they liked you and you just happen to get along well with them, right? We've been there. I'm going to contend that it's not just because they like you, because usually if they like you, there's some other things that they know about you that causes them to trust you, to feel like you have something to bring to the table. And here's a couple ways that you build it. These things are so simple, it's kind of like sales 101, but they're important things to keep in mind, because I think also some of us, when you get a little more experienced, sometimes you get a little sloppy with some things. So it's important sometimes to be reminded of some of the basics, like things like being on time. I hate to be late. Dave will tell you, if we're in the car and we're going on an appointment together and we're 5 minutes away,
Gets ugly.
it gets ugly because you gotta be on time. You know, if you do nothing else in the rest of the transaction, be on time. It makes a point to people. Eye contact. Be careful about that. That's how people get to trust you. A lot of times if you're a little nervous about something, people look down at their materials. They look at, you know, the PowerPoint presentation or keynote presentation that they're using. That eye contact makes a big difference. Compliment them. Sincerely, however. You don't want to walk into a house that's a mess and hasn't obviously been staged and needs some help and say, oh my, things are beautiful, your house is lovely. You know, you can find some good things to compliment even when, you know, oh, this is a great floor plan, if indeed it is. I can see that you've paid attention to some of the major systems in the property. That's a really good thing. Now let's look at how we can really present the best, you know, putting your best foot forward. Make it sincere, because if it's not sincere, do they know it? They know it. So be sincere about it. And if you can't find something good, my mother always told me, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Probably not a bad thing to adhere to. Asking questions and listening. The more questions that you ask, the more someone will trust you. Tell me what you think I mean by that.
Well, it's interactive. It's basically taking the focus off of you.
Okay. So it's interactive, getting the focus off of you. Makes them feel like you care. And we're going to say that time and time again. People don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know, that saying is going to come back time and time again. It's also a matter of when you allow people to talk, they're revealing information about themselves, about their property, whatever you're talking to them about. And the more people tell you and they reveal about themselves, the more comfortable they start to feel with you. And the more comfortable, the more trust that starts to develop. So keep that in mind when you hear yourself, and when you're in appointments with people and you hear yourself doing all the talking, stop and ask a question and let them respond and make it a little bit more interactive. It's the way that it works no matter what kind of situation not just in real estate, not just in a sales position, but just generally in developing relationships.
Also, I would think that we all know that, I go back to my serving the client. For you to serve the client properly, you need to ask questions. You have to know everything there is to know about the property and the house and their situation and their personal lives, correct? To serve them properly. If you miss one thing, you just don't ask. You don't ask them about their. Do you have a balance on your? Do you have a second mortgage and there's a balance? You don't ask them that question. They just think it really has nothing to do with it, and maybe you have a short sale on your hands. So again, asking questions is the proper way to serve the client. Sending
personal notes. How many of you do that? Anybody, Brian Buffini people, or just generally in notes? Okay. What kind of feedback do you get when you do that? Positive. Does anybody
Oh.
say, oh, I can't believe you sent me a note, you shouldn't have sent that to me? I don't think so. You know, it's a way to set yourself apart because not everybody's doing it. And an email is not the same as a handwritten personal note. Everybody knows that, right? You know, because it's not the same. When you put something and you write it and you put a stamp on it and it comes in the mail, it's different. It stands out and it shows that you care and that they're important to you. So those are just a couple of tips and highlights to keep in mind in differentiating yourself from a personal perspective. But now we need to also talk about materials. You know, there's the personal relationship, and then there's the kind of materials that you're going to use and how you present yourself. We're going to talk about what later. So let's talk about that. Dave, resources?
Well, the resources, actually, I'm going to show you, but we talk about quality materials. I'm just going to, we'll lay these out and then we'll go a little bit into it. But all these really are, these are samples. Samples, you can look at the content, they're old. We've changed them. You can just pass these around and you'll get a general idea. We have something even better now that we use. This is how we put together the print portion if we do print. We don't do print with every client. It depends on the client. We'll get a little bit into that in a bit. But some of the other resources you have, the design center. All right, you don't need to reinvent the wheel here at RE/MAX. You actually literally have more resources than you could use. If you used all the resources that RE/MAX has given you, you wouldn't be talking to clients. You'd just be working on, you'd just be going through all of these things. We have more resources. The Design Center, remax.net, remax-nj.net's got all the brochures we talked about previously. We showed you some of them, and they keep updating these things. There's the materials that we use, those are the examples of print, and in a resource list in the back, there's a thing called Unibind. It's a company we use that binds those things together. It's something, we buy the covers and we put together the presentation and we have a little machine that binds it together. We do it in our office. We don't have somebody do it. So those are some samples of quality materials. Customized to the seller. Every time we give them anything, we do something in the beginning, like put the picture of their house. And people, it's really kind of, I don't know, I just find it fascinating that somebody, you give them a little thing and they go, ooh, that's my house. It's your house. And they get kind of excited about it. Your presentation format, Keynote or PowerPoint, if you're going to give any kind of a electronic thing, those are the two powerful types of things that you can use.
And Dave talked about understanding customizing to your seller. Some sellers are very comfortable with technology and others aren't. Even some that are comfortable, you know, I had some folks I was working with recently and they were very comfortable with technology, but you know what, they still wanted to have something in print that they could take with them and go share with their parents or whatever it was, whoever they were going to be talking with. So again, talk to them and find out what they prefer. And then whatever they prefer, that's what you got to go with. So you've got to be the one to be flexible to what works for them.
You always have to be ready to meet that challenge. If you think you got a young, flashy guy and he wants it all quick and he wants it in electronic form, they'll throw a curveball at you. And if you don't, oh, I don't have one with me because I thought you wanted it in a flash drive, you know, or I thought you wanted me to email it to you. You always got to kind of be ready, all right? And you can progress to that, and we'll talk a little bit later about the progression of what you need to do if you're not doing technology at all right now.
And be careful not to make assumptions, because sometimes we assume perhaps that people who are a little older may not be as comfortable with technology and people who are younger are, and it's not necessarily the case. So be careful not to make those assumptions, because you make that assumption, that can actually destroy the relationship and insult somebody if you know one way or the other. So be careful about that.
That's exactly
There
what
we
this
go.
talks. This is what this talks to. You see all the young, hip people, you know, they're moving. One thing that's really common to the younger set is they want things fast, and they want it yesterday, and they don't want it in 5 minutes. They want it 5 minutes ago, literally. And that's just what you have to address that. But typically they'll say, oh, you know. But again, don't make that assumption. You know, I'll email you a PDF of the files you just signed on your iPad or however. Older people, again, maybe as a general statement, they want copies. I'll send you copies. I'll give you copies of everything you sign. But don't make that flat-out assumption. We've run into a lot of older people, they whip out the iPad, you know, and they're going, retired, they just love it.
You know, can I talk about this just for a second? I'm going to talk about Dave because, you know, we've been around for a while. You know, we're not the young chickadees in the business here.
No, I'm not.
And one of the things that I admire about Dave is how he's been able to keep up with technology through thick and thin and through all different kinds of markets that we've been in. And I mean, he actually teaches, has a class he's going to talk a little bit about later, about every Friday with Mobile Agent TV, and you've got a card, and we'll talk more about that. But every Friday, he's on a seminar, whatever, a little class that he teaches with another agent, and they're always talking about how to build technology and new resources and new ways to do things. And you know what? If you do that, it never gets boring either. You know, the more experience you have, sometimes it becomes very rote, and you get doing the same thing over and over again, and you can get tired and burned out. If you're trying some new things, you don't get burned out because it's different all the time, and always keep your mind open to learning new things. So
I've said many times on Mobile Agent TV, which again we'll talk about a little bit, that I do two things. I take care of myself really well because I want to see what's going to happen. You know, there's some pretty cool stuff coming, and it's coming all the time, and it's coming faster, right, Addis? All the different technologies and the way we do, and the way the world is changing, it's happening. And I mean, I just can't wait. I mean, we're going to be flying around in jet cars, and it's going to happen. So I take care of myself because I want to see. And the other thing that Vanessa sort of touched on is technology to me has kept me interested in the real estate business. I've been doing it a long time. If I still had to do the real estate transactions and the business the way we did it, just, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I would have quit. It's like you get bored, right? Now it's just exciting. There's always something different, and it's always a challenge. So it makes the real estate industry and the business that we do and serving clients more interesting every day, because there's some other little thing that I run into, or there's some little other technology that we have to implement to kind of keep ahead of the curve. You're never going to be able to keep up with it. You just got to keep behind it a little bit, and it happens too quick.
And the latest thing is video.
Video.
So that's what we're going to spend a little bit of time on now, because video is the latest. It's the hottest topic. When we went to the RE/MAX convention in March, was it? The beginning of March, the international convention, video was all over the place. They were the most well-attended sessions, and I would say probably 3/4 of the sessions that were taught there had some way, shape, or form they were incorporating video. So something to think about of how you might be able to do that. So, you know, and here's some statistics right here.
Video has been around in our business for a while, but we came away with two things we came out of the convention with, and we talked to other people who came away with the exact same thing. Two things: provide value to your clients, whether it be buyer, seller, or whatever, and video. Here's an NAR survey. 87% of potential sellers, when they were surveyed, said they would use an agent if they did video. And 12% of real estates are using video in their marketing at some level. Could be just some little quick little thing, could take it to another level. So there's a big opportunity here, a big opportunity to install video in what you do as part of your listing presentation and as part of other ways in your business to help you get business. And we'll show you some examples of that.
And before everybody, it's not as complicated as you might think if you haven't done anything with it. So kind of keep an open mind for the time being. If you're kind of thinking about and saying, no way am I going to start doing video, keep an open mind for just a few minutes until you see some of the things that we're going to talk about.
Okay. There's a couple of different, we'll talk real quick before we actually show you a couple of videos here. Tablet video for agents is a program put on by a guy called Michael Creasa, the interview guy. Anybody ever heard of him?
Not too many.
Okay, well, I'm sure Neen has. He's been around quite a while, and he has a video course which I'm going to show you that you guys could take. I worked out a discount code with him, so I took that course, and it taught you a lot of really interesting things. Mobile Agent TV. It's a free resource for RE/MAX agents. There's cards on the table. The way that all came about, I was invited with another RE/MAX agent in British Columbia, Michael Thorne, to sit on a panel about infusing WOW into your listing presentation for R4. So we met over Google Hangouts. He's a young guy, like younger than me. He's in his 30s someplace. New to RE/MAX, been in the business almost 20 years though. Worked with his mom, and he has 2 partners. So he's on the west coast of Canada. I'm on the east coast of the United States. I've been in the business a long time. He's new to RE/MAX. He's on the other end of the world. And we got together and we found out that we have so much in common about how we do business and our philosophy. It was kind of eerie. It was weird. So we actually met for the first time at R4 at the convention. We gave our seminar, standing room only, packed. They turned people away. It was a big success. It was really cool. We had a great time. We met a lot of great people. And he came up with the idea. He said, how about we do something, which I had no idea what Google Hangouts were. And and so we put together this little presentation. And he put together the format for it. And we're on Twitter. We're on iTunes. We have iPod. We have a live show every Friday. We have a YouTube channel. We got it all. He puts it together, and he gets it all done in like an hour a week because he knows what he's doing. Boom, boom, boom. We do this live thing, and the concept of it, it's directed to RE/MAX agents. It's an interview type thing. We interview somebody different every week about some different topic. We've had Dot Loop on. We've had Katie Lance. Everybody know who Katie Lance is? She's a spokesman. You can find her on the, what do they call those things at remax.net? The
quick hits.
Quick hits. She's a social media, really knows social media. We've had the director of strategic product development at RE/MAX International on. We're about to do the director of the social media department at RE/MAX International is coming on. We've had Michael Creasa, all different subjects. And mainly, one of our heavy things has been paperless. So you could go on there, sign up. There's nothing. It's free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. We're not selling anything. You can go on there, watch it live, or if you don't want to watch it live, you don't have the time, you can just go to mobileagenttv.com, and you can watch the episodes, or you can watch all the back episodes. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, and it's all about innovation and going forward. A lot of different subjects.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, App Store?
No, you don't need to go in the App Store. Mobileagenttv.com.
Yep, just a website.
It's a website.
Okay, so it's not
Yep.
an app.
Not an app, no. But you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook, and it's all on the little cards I left you there. It's just a great resource, and it's all directed to RE/MAX. Anybody can look at it, but RE/MAX agents, we all talk about RE/MAX, and there's been some interesting people. So here's some sample videos, and this is all going someplace. The first video I'm going to show you, I took the first course from Mobile Agent, excuse me, I'm getting a little confused here, Tablet Agent for Video, and I put together a video, which didn't take me that long to do it. I did it all on my iPad. I did the video on the iPad. I edited it on the iPad. I put it up on YouTube. It's on one of our websites. It's a tour of Somerset Run. I'm just going to show you the beginning of it, and then I'll show you another one, and I'll show you where this is all going. Hello, everybody. This is Dave Fauquier with the Enviro Realty Team at RE/MAX Preferred Professionals in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Today, we're going to take a tour of Somerset Run, a Del Webb community of over 55 in Somerset, New Jersey. Let's get inside. Let's see what it's about. Somerset Run is located 50 miles to New York City and less than 10 miles to New Brunswick along the Northeast Corridor train line. It's about an hour ride into New York City, as well as this is a gated community with 24-hour key card access, and guests can be announced at the gate, and the guards there 24 hours a day. I'm going to speed this near the end. I don't want to bore you with the whole thing. I did another little introduction about different services in the area.
Medical facilities are very important to some folks, so right here within 10 miles in either direction, we have the Robert Wood Johnson Hospital, the Somerset Medical Center in Somerville, and in New Brunswick, St. Peter's University Hospital, all very good hospitals. Thank you for accompanying me on a tour of Somerset Run today. If you'd like any additional information about Somerset Run, floor plans, or would like to tour any of the homes or carriage homes here, give us a call or contact us via email at the information on the bottom of the screen. Again, this is Dave Fauquier of the Enviro Realty Team at RE/MAX Preferred Professionals in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Enjoy your day.
All right, so let's vote. Everybody like that hat? It's pretty styling, don't you think? It was the beginning of the season. Yep.
Okay. Now, here's the point.
Question?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
You don't need permission from the community to...
No, I don't need permission from the community to do that. I'm giving them a tour. It's not, it's not, no, I don't believe so. You can do those things at any level. Now, here's the key. Those are what's called, and again, if you take wind up this course that is available to you, that's called an evergreen video. It's not like a house tour. A house tour is only good as long as you have the listing, right? Then it's gone. I mean, you can't. What can you do with it? You can choose as an example, but it's not going to really get you any. These are evergreen videos. You can put them in different places, and you can drive. It's the only one. It's the only one for any adult community in our area here. I can already attribute, and I didn't do this that long ago. You can see it just happened to 3 really potential clients that we've been able to kind of get over the hump because of that video. Because we showed it to them, wow, nobody's doing anything like this. And we're starting to get inquiries because Google owns YouTube. And YouTube now, and again, you'll learn all this in the course, so I'm just kind of throwing this in here. If you do a Google search for Somerset Run Tour, or Somerset Run New Jersey, or Active Adult Communities, one of the things that's going to come up first is anything that is attached to a video. Right, search engine optimization. So there's a whole process to all of that. Now, that's basic, bottom sort of the market, done just by me on my iPad. I edited it, I did the whole thing on my iPad. Boom, 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 did it. Didn't take me that long, and it's already proven valuable. Now, this next one I'm going to show you. I'm sorry?
How do you do the intro screen?
Well, that's another pretty simple. Write this down. Here's one of those things I'm going to tell you that's not on anything. Fiverr. Fiver. Fiverr.com. On Fiverr.
Like the number 5 with an
5.
R on the end. Fiverr.
Fiver. Fiverr.com. On Fiverr.com, you can get anything that you can imagine. Imagine it, you can get it on there at a starting price of $5. That intro cost me $20 to get that intro
How
put
can
together.
you can't beat that. I mean, it's really, if you were to hire somebody locally, a designer, and do something, it would be pretty expensive to do something
That's
like
one
that.
of the things that's changed about technology. You can go to different places and get stuff for like next to nothing. Now, where this person was that did it, I have no idea, and I don't care. They're somewhere in the world. And they sent it over the internet. There's the big thing, and I got that intro done for that. We've done other things on Mobile Agent TV. I got this girl, and this only cost me $5. Once a week in Hollywood, California, she hikes to the Hollywood sign with a big stack of cardboard and a magic marker. And she writes whatever you want on, and she takes a picture in front of the Hollywood sign. Marry me, Josie, whatever. And there's this picture. She will also do a video. There's people that just incredible amounts of very innovative things that you can find on Fiverr, and that's where I got that thing done. All right. Now the next one, and this is going to lead to something else. This is done by Michael Thorne, my partner in Mobile Agent TV. I'm going to show you the whole thing. This was very high-end, professionally done by a company, and there's a theme that we'll
Wait till you
talk
see
about.
this one. that a cool way to showcase a house?
So what do you think that was? That was a house tour. Okay, it's what's called, it's what's called the dinner party. But what it says, it's called lifestyle video. Now, that was high end, done professional. That's $1,175,000, that house in Fort Langley, British Columbia. But how many of you folks do virtual tours? You all do virtual tours. If you use Tour Factory, again, I'm not really familiar with some of them, but there's a bunch of them. But most of them now you can insert video. All right, so how about this? You take your iPhone, you take your Android, whatever, you take your video camera, and you just do one shot of the homeowner. Take the highlight of the house. If it's a swimming pool, sitting by the pool. If he's got a nice patio, you do something with the barbecuing. If he's got a high-end nice kitchen, maybe the homeowner and somebody in the kitchen. If there's a play area, again, just take the highlight of the house, whatever it is, and insert it into your virtual tour. Lifestyle video. Now you can do whole videos about lifestyle of a community. If they're again, it depends on where your market is, but if you're down the shore, you can create a video and do it yourself. And, I'll give you all the resources to do that, about all of the amenities that are down the shore. Put them up on a YouTube channel, which you can create yourself for free, and you go from there. You'll get hits for that. And then if you saw ours, the way I did it, I had all our information considered. I want a tour of Somerset Run? Here's the thing at the bottom. You want more information? You want floor plans mailed to you? Here's the information at the bottom. I did it all out of my iPad. Didn't take me very long to do it. You have a question? Sure. Well, absolutely. Sure. I mean, you could come up with a little sentence thing. I mean, the homeowner is going to sit for the video. I'm sure they're not going to object to you. You're going to tell them what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this to promote the sale of your home. Okay? It sort of goes without saying, because if you take pictures of the inside of your house, you tell them you're going to do a virtual tour, they've just given you permission to put the thing up on the thing. You need to be a little careful. You're right. You may have to, if you feel more comfortable getting a one-page thing, you give me permission to do this. So there's two different aspects there to that particular. There's two different videos.
You can also do it by town. If you specialize in a specific town, you've got a property that you're selling in a particular location, you can do the same thing. You can interview shop owners, school teachers or principals, and so there's all different kinds of things you can include in that kind of video. Again, sets you apart and showcases the town where this home is located in addition to the home itself.
Question regarding the video. Other than posting like to your website and YouTube, where does the general public want to go to see these videos? I want to buy a house in Princeton and I'm going to post videos. Like, where are you directing people to put them?
Create a YouTube channel.
Create a YouTube channel. Okay.
Call it Princeton Real Estate, whatever, youtube.com/Princeton Real Estate or whatever. You have to come up with something, create the channel, and just put the videos up there. You can send the links to people that are inquiring. You can put the link on your website. It's a little more difficult on the RE/MAX in New Jersey Reliance sites to do these things, but I'm doing a Real Pro site now.
Okay.
Real Pro in the back. There's places to embed the videos, and what happens is, the more people, if somebody does any kind of a search and you have a YouTube channel, like I said before, Google owns YouTube, and the videos are coming up first. You may have to do some search engine optimization. You're just a lot of places to put them, Dawn. Okay. Michael Creasa, who you're about to see for 1 minute, we interviewed him on Mobile Agent TV. He's called the interview guy, that interview guy. He's been around for a long time. He's been at the NAR. I mean, he's around a long time. He's a real estate agent, and he specializes in training programs for video. He had a thing called Easy Agent Video, which was kind of old. He was doing video training way before it was like, and he just did one tablet agent for video. So I talked to him. I had taken the course, the easy one. I did the tablet one, and everything that I needed to know, even answered that question about where to put it, how to put it, is all in his course, which is actually just a bunch of series of videos. And he goes, if you don't have an iPad, iPad, we're emphasizing that because it is the tool. There's no other tool that's going to do all this stuff and link it all together that you can all do it. If you're using a different kind of a tablet, you're using an Android or something, or a video camera, it's much more difficult. If you have an iPad, everything can be done on the iPad. Literally every single thing you need to do right in one spot. And that's why that course is the best. So just write this stuff down.
And actually, one other point before you just go to
Okay.
that video, Dave, and that is that here's my contention, is that if you're doing these videos and you're going out about town and you're meeting people and talking to people to put these videos together, you've now got an added piece. You know that circle chart that Dave had at the beginning? What was at the top of it about building a business? Leads. So what better way is there to meet people and get more leads than if you're out and putting these videos together? So it accomplishes more than just setting yourself apart with technology, but you're starting to meet people and you're out there and developing different connections. So maybe a little side benefit, but I think just as important.
Exactly. If you go and say the video, you didn't see the whole part of the video I did, but let's just say I go to the dry cleaner and I just do a 30-second interview. I said, hey, Dave Fauquier from Enviro Realty Team. You know, I know that a lot of clients are coming in from Somerset Run. You know, this is a great cleaners over here. Everybody appreciates the way you do business with us. What do you have to say? Blah, 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 blah. You take that video, now you're putting it on your source. What do you think the person owning the dry cleaner is going to do? They're going to share it with everybody they know. All right, and there's your information across the bottom. It just spreads. Write this down. ISellLouisville.com. Bob Sokoler is his name. He heads the Bob Sokoler team in Louisville, Kentucky. He does a ton of these kinds of videos that we're talking about. Go to his website, start looking through it. He walks around the Lowe's with this camera on the end of it. Simple, not complicated. He goes, okay, I'm going to give you a couple tips about how to say, and these are the kind of light bulbs, and boom, boom, boom. He did a thing at the burger place. It's up there. It's really cool. He goes to the burger place. You know, this is one of the local things. Everybody, da-da-da-da, he eats it. You know, and it was only 2 minutes. And he puts it up on his website about Louisville. And the guy in the burger place, he shares it with all his friends. And so it just spreads like wildfire. You know, we're spending a lot of time on this, but this stuff is a very easy, if you do it right, take your time, way to generate leads for your business and set you apart when you're out there trying to get a listing, because not a lot of people are doing video.
And talking about Bob Sokoler, another thing that he does is he videotapes his clients at a walkthrough. When are people happiest about their, you know, this is for buying, you know, when you're working with buyers, so it's not necessarily working with sellers, but you can do the same thing and do it at the closing table. But he's done them with buyers, and it's a way to get testimonials. And it's a video, and it's fun, and people get a kick out of doing it. And it's just, you know, quick little 60 seconds or 2 minutes long. It's not a big deal, because you don't want people to feel like they have to rehearse and do a whole speech. It's just a quick little hit.
iMovie. Everything's done. Again, if you look at the course, you'll see it's everything. I videotape it with the iPad and use iMovie. You can use the other stuff. That stuff works. There's all kinds of apps that he'll talk about in that course. There's a video library where you can insert different kinds of scenes. There's an intro thing. How many of you guys have ever seen the little, like the whiteboard, you know, where somebody's drawn something? That's an app for $15 you can get. Type in the things you want to say, you know. Again, I go back to that thing, marry me, marry me, Kathy, or whatever, and there's this guy drawing, or he'll draw a picture or whatever. There's an app. It's like $15 app that you can go. I have it on my thing. Just remind me of that question. I'll look it up. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's another app that you could use on your iPad that you can insert that into video. It's kind of cool. There's an intro
Another
thing.
question or comment? No, Michael Creaser, you're going to see it in a second here, and it's also, we'll give it to you at the end as well.
I know
Yep.
this is a little off question, kind of doesn't have anything to do with this, but kind of does. There are probably 300 IDs and passwords from all the different sites, bills, real estate. Where do you keep, do you have a method of organizing all these passwords? Because I'm losing it.
Well,
There's an app for that, right?
there's an app for that. No, she's right. There's an app
Yep.
for that.
I know there's like keeper.com and, you know, those kind of, but do you have like a methodology for creating IDs and passwords?
my methodology is, there's actually, I read an article in Real Estate Magazine, one of the real estate magazines about, all the different ways to try to keep it secure. And one of the things was, no birthdays, no dog names,
Gives
no
you the
just
guidelines,
none of that
right.
stuff. Come up with some bizarre thing, numbers, letters, backwards, forwards, and that was what I did.
And then you're supposed to change them,
You changed them too. You change them
not
from
keep
time
them
to
the
time.
same forever.
Most of the stuff, be honest with you, I'm not a worrier at all. Vanessa will tell you, she worries, I don't. So that she does the worrying
That's
for the
why
family.
he looks the way he does at his age, and I look the way I do at mine.
Exactly. I don't really worry about the only thing I worry about is my bank account, all right, where the money's at. And other than that, hey, if you want to
And
go
our
in.
clients, we always are
Yeah,
concerned
but
and
if you
care
want to
for
go
our
in, you
clients.
want to go into my website and start playing around, but nobody's going to do. I just, I haven't had the experience. Maybe it has to happen to me before I get a little more serious about it.
I'm not worried about people stealing stuff, I'm just worried about how.
Remembering them, yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
We actually keep a handwritten list and keep it in a secure place.
And
So,
we're not in. We work from home, so there's nobody there except us. So.
sorry.
I'll just say fast two things. A computer nerd of mine who is amazing and is the head of the computer department at his university, he said the hardest thing for a person to crack into is a simple sentence like "This is Mary's YouTube account," and then the other thing is to keep the same beginning part, but just the end change it YouTube. The same whatever, and then say Google, so that you remember everything, but oh, I'm on my Remax, it's Remax. So that's like simple, but at the end you just put what account you're on.
It's a
So you
good
remember
tip.
everything, you're like, oh, YouTube.
yeah, good suggestion.
Good. All
Great.
right. Let's.
Okay, so let's look at the next
Sorry for that.
video.
Actually,
No, that's good.
Hey there, it's Michael Creasa, and thanks for watching this video. And if you are, it's because our mutual friend Dave has got you all excited about doing video. The one thing he probably didn't share with you is the fact that I've been in real estate since 1989. In fact, you can tell by my slightly worn out Remax shirt here that I've got some experience under my belt, and especially when it comes to video. In fact, I've created 2 very comprehensive courses that will walk you through the whole process of doing video. In fact, if you have an iPad, tabletvideoforagents.com is super comprehensive. It will literally show you how to edit, shoot, upload video using your iPad while you're sipping on a coffee at Starbucks. Easy Agent Video is another course I created, and it's all about shooting video with conventional video cameras, or perhaps your cell phone. Now that course is $197. Tablet Video for Agents is $97. But as a Remax special, what we've done is created a coupon code, REMAX, and when you put that into the box, you can get both courses.
now, just so you know, we don't endorse we don't get any money from any of this. Whenever we do something like this, it's because I believe in my heart that this is well worth, well, all you really need to know is, here's what you need to know. It's tablet video for agents.com. Go there. And when it comes to the discount code, put in REMAX.
Hey there, it's Michael Creasa, and thanks for
Oops.
watching this video. And if you are, it's
Just put in REMAX as the discount code and he'll take off. It's only $97. To me, that course is worth 5 times that, because you have unlimited access to it. You can go to it for as long as you want, and you can rewatch the videos. It's all done in video form. It's done with another guy who talks about iMovie. He shows you how to edit all these movies in iMovie. It's whole iMovie lessons. If you're familiar with it, you don't need to do that, but he shows you how to shoot it, shows you how to edit it, shows you where to put it, shows you how to put it there, and he's always updating it. And so it's $25 off for Remax. Put the code in, and I think the whole thing costs you $72. One of these days, I got to start
bad.
getting some money for some of this stuff. Anyway,
Nah, it comes back in other ways.
it comes back in other ways. He's a good guy, and he put a really great course together.
Okay, so that's video. So we're still talking about this first part of the how you're adding wow. We're still differentiating ourselves. We're going to get to the other stuff momentarily, but the other way to do it is by being paperless. Has anybody gone paperless yet? Good.
Really paperless.
Good, good, good.
Is your office doing it, or is it just you?
Yeah, if the office does it, it makes it a lot easier. You have to get on board, I guess. If your office isn't quite there yet, which is where we were, we kind of started the process first. And It's a great time saver, you save some costs, and you differentiate yourself. You have to, again, you have to be able to align with your customer. Not all customers are going to be 100%, on board with you, so you have to adjust as necessary. But Dave's going to talk about some of the tools that we use, as well as some of the other tools that are out there.
Okay, we started in a very simple form by some other standards, but compared to other agents, it's not simple at all. We use a thing called Dropbox, Dropbox.com. Dropbox is a cloud. It's a place where you can store all kinds. You can store all your files, you can store everything you got, and it's pretty secure. It's more secure than on your own computer, as far as I'm concerned, because it's all backed up. So you can start with a free. There's a free. You can use Dropbox for free for a limited amount. All right, but if you want to. I take it pretty much to the sort of a minimum, not minimum level, but like in the middle. Costs like $99 a year, and we're not even close to the amount of stuff. What I did was I took every picture we ever had on a computer, every file, our tax returns, everything is stored in Dropbox. All right, so how it relates to real estate is it starts by all of your instruments, I call them instruments, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android, anything that you can get on the internet, you can get into Dropbox. And so they all have access to Dropbox. Our team, we have a team of people, and there's just two others of us. And what we do is we give them limited access to the active listings, the current transactions, miscellaneous forms. We have all our forms up there, just everything that they would need to use to run our real estate business. And at Dropbox.com, we're able to check off what we're able to give them access to. They don't need to have access to our tax returns and our personal information. It's just the real estate related folders. So if one person goes in and just drops something in there, it shows up on all the other documents, on all the other the computers or iPads or iPhones that there's been a change. And we all we have a little system that we know how to do that. PDF Expert is another application that's on the iPad that we use to get access to. You can go into Dropbox, open up a blank listing form, and say, click the little box at the top, open up in PDF Expert, and it opens it up, and I can edit it. I can put in all the names, the addresses, I can put everything I need in there. They can sign it on the iPad, and then I can put save a copy in Dropbox. Boom, goes back to Dropbox. So now it's all kind of synced together. You have to sort of go through the process to learn how to do it, but it's not complicated at all, and it's clean, and it brings value to your customer. One of the things that just the other day on my iPhone, I was on the iPhone, and somebody called me and they wanted a certain document, or they wanted a copy of a picture out of an inspection report of something that the seller was contending was not wrong with the house. So I just, okay, here's that page, took a snapshot of it, took it right out of Dropbox, right on my iPhone, and sent it to the attorney. I said, there's the page, bottom right-hand corner, there's the picture. Send it over to the other attorney and tell them that they're wrong. Their contractor's wrong. The sill plate under the back of the house is rotten. Here's a picture of the screwdriver in it. So you can literally run your whole business right from your iPhone. You don't even need to have an iPad. Windowless wireless printing. I have a wireless printing app on there. If you have a wireless printer, and I can get access to your internet. If I'm in your office, I can print anything right out of Dropbox, right into your wireless printers, right in your office or wherever if you give me access to it. But we can print right from right in our own house because it's part of that network.
That's just the example of PDF Expert where you can actually sign right on the iPad, and then you can email it to the client right from there, and you can see it on their computer before you actually leave the house. So it's not like you leave without them having a copy of everything. You can do it right there and then, and they have it all.
Now, if you have a client that's distant and can't sign the iPad, you can use DocuSign, EchoSign, there's a whole bunch of them. But DocuSign is the one we happen to use right now. Dotloop, which we'll talk about in a minute, has their own electronic signing thing. So you can literally prepare it, store it in Dropbox, go to DocuSign, put the document in there, and email it to the client, and there's a little drag and drop, sign here, initial here, and just send it off to them right from DocuSign. And they electronically acknowledge that they've acknowledged it. That's their way of electronically signing. They don't sign anything. It's just the way they do it. Sean, you have a question? No. Okay.
And I would just say, practice all of these things at least once before you go try to do it in front of somebody, because the first time you go, actually I would say do it twice, because the first time you do it, you get the knack of it. The second time, you always find something that doesn't work quite the way you thought it was going. So do it twice, and then the third time, do it with the client.
No. Well, on here they do. They sign right on your iPad. But if they're distance, they're going to get a document over the internet, which they acknowledge. They can't sign on the computer. They're doing an electronic, validated signature. It's not really as they just write. Okay, they type their name in, and it's put in as a certification on it. Attorneys accept it. DocuSign, EchoSign, all of those things. They're legal signatures. They're legal acknowledgments of the document. And these documents, contracts, even though they're, facts that are accepted, everything's accepted now. It really doesn't, we've sent stuff to attorneys that isn't even half signed sometimes, and they just,
Yeah. We started doing this, I would say, what, two years ago, a year and a half ago, when we started doing, and it's a little scary doing it the first couple of times. And it was scary for our clients. Now, I've seen a tremendous difference now to just a year ago. People accept it so much more so, and they're actually cool with it and are fine with signing it. So it's becoming more of a standard way of doing it than not.
I think it was recently, I thought I read that New Jersey now has legislation accepting electronic signatures. Because before then, there was some concern that some attorneys might be dealing with it and saying, no, I'm sorry, it's not valid.
well,
Yep.
if it gets into some crazy lawsuit, there could possibly be something, but we'll contend if you do your transactions right, you won't have a lawsuit. So.
The real estate commission still requires a paper document of everything.
No, they don't.
No longer?
No, it's been a while now. The real estate commission, their rule is if they walk into your office and say, I want a copy of X, Y, of that file, you have to have access to it to be able to print it out and give it to them right on the spot. So you can store it in the cloud, you can store it anywhere you want, you can scan it and keep it, as long as they walk in and say, I want to see the 123 Main Street file. You have access, boom, 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 you print it out, you give it to them, they sit down and they do their examination. You have to be able to print the form of it. So that's kind of been taken care of. Paperless, Dotloop, there's Dotloop, Cartarvy, and there's a couple of other ones. These are essentially, these are a little bit different. Instead of iCloud is where you store a lot of documents. You can do the same thing here, but what this does is you invite different people into the loop, all right? In other words, and you can have certain people have access to certain parts of the document and others not. And it's a way to follow the whole process. They'll store it. The clients can actually go into it. The sellers, the buyers, whoever you're working with, they can have access to the contract or maybe the attorney letters or whatever. It can all be done in the loop. This is actually our office is going to be doing it in the fall or whenever. There are a lot of companies that are doing it already. 2-3 years from now, I think it's going to be the norm in every office. I personally cannot see storing paper documents anymore. It gets, there's warehouses full of documents. You got to keep that stuff for 7 years. It's nuts. You have a very busy office. It costs a lot of money to store this stuff. So Dotloop is a very efficient way to do that. And you can actually go into Dotloop and do your own account for free as an agent if your office isn't doing it. And you could go in and test the transaction out. It's free. The way they make money is once they get enough agents in a particular office doing it, they approach the broker, and the broker has to pay a fee to manage it and all of that. But you can do it on your own. You can run your own transactions that way.
All right, so what do you think? Have we given you enough information to differentiate yourself so far? All right, we got some good tools and resources. So let's move on to the second one, which is part of your presentation, demonstrating competency and value. So we've got to let them know that we're the right agent to do the job and how we're going to provide that value to them through the whole transaction. So there's a couple of suggestions that we're going to have as we go through this. And the first thing we're going to start off with is presence in the marketplace. I mean, you've got to you've got to prove to them that RE/MAX is out there. You can't just say it. You got to show them some of the information. So we're going to talk about web presence. You've got to talk about market share. And we're going to talk from company, RE/MAX. You might talk about your office, and then you obviously need to talk about yourself because you're the agent who's going to be working with them. We'll talk about that, and then we're going to talk about results because you got to be out there, but you got to be able to use that presence out there to show them the results, the successes that you've had, and you're going to need to present some of the statistics and rankings to be able to have that proof behind it. So you got to back up your claims. So we'll talk about personal office and RE/MAX. And then, of course, the last thing we're going to talk about are those testimonials, which one way we discussed a little earlier, you could do it in video, you could do it in print, have it on your website. So we'll talk about some strategies for that and what to include there. First we're going to start with is the web presence and market share. RE/MAX. Are you all familiar with the new design of the website? If you haven't been on there in a while, you probably should go and check it out because if your clients are going to remax.com to check it out, you probably should go there too. And then also then go to the remax-nj.com and check that out too so that you see what they're looking at. And for those of you who may not be familiar, this is a chart that came right off of the RE/MAX of New Jersey site. It's in the back for downloads, marketing tools, and resources. But it shows that RE/MAX is the most visited website of all of the RE/MAX, all of the real estate franchises, getting more hits than all of the others. When we look at demonstrating competency, we're also going to look at RE/MAX versus the industry in terms of some key things. And there's a lot of information on here. You're going to pick and choose what you want to talk about and what you want to accentuate with a seller. But what's on here is looking at number of transaction sites. That's kind of the key thing. But there's the elements that you see listed on the right here are what's across the top of the chart because you can't really read it on the screen here because it's light. All of this available right on the RE/MAX websites. Dave, you want to talk about advertising?
Sure, TV. This is from 2012 for the whole year. We can no longer say that RE/MAX does more TV advertising than everybody else put together, but we're at 48% of all share of voice. So that's pretty impactful. And what we always say in listing presentations, sure, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you've seen a RE/MAX commercial. It's all designed to do one thing, drive traffic directly to remax.com, because Margaret Kelly says in the end, find all the listings at remax.com. I said, and if your listing comes up 2 clicks away, I got the lead. I'm the listing agent, which you're going to emphasize.
Dave and Vanessa, I just want to confirm you're doing all this on an iPad.
Yep, we're doing it on an iPad.
Okay.
And then we'll talk in the end, Dawn, about we have a book that has a lot of other stuff if they want it, that has more detail in it. But we're doing this on it. This is.
And actually, we do it just the way we're doing it here. I put the iPad in front of the client, and I use my remote so that I'm looking at the same thing they're looking at, and I don't have to be like this looking at the iPad with them. The remote works great. It's just called Keynote Remote, and it's a free app. So it just works along with Keynote. I think it's free. Isn't it free?
Yeah, if it's not free,
if it's not, it's
that's
a
$5.
small amount of money. So the other information that's on here, as we said, we talk about Margaret Kelly. Margaret Kelly has become pretty well known out there. She's on CNN, so people see her, and she's a viable figure. So again, it's a matter of making them feel confident that you're the right agent to be doing the job because you have all of these resources behind you.
Consumer claims. You can find all these consumer claims at, just type in consumer claims. You'll always, and one of the things that we haven't said that we make sure you do, when you look at the resource list and or you look at the presentations we're going to give you later, make sure you're always updating it. You don't want to have a 2011 chart up here. This happens to be, I think, 2011, but again, the most updated ones are at remax.net. You can just search the download section. But these are things that you can verifiably say about RE/MAX. Okay, and remember we talk about setting yourself apart. Nobody can sell. Most real estate sold. Most productive agents. Most recognized name in real estate. Most share of voice. Most professional designations. More countries served. I mean, you can go on and on and on about RE/MAX. The differences between us and everybody else. The consumer claims are all up there. The unfair advantage, again, there's a whole program that was done, and it was called RE/MAX on remax.net, called the unfair advantage, and these are all the other things you can say, as well as It's called Leverage Your Competitive Advantage. It was a thing done by Kathy Baker. She's a RE/MAX senior training consultant. She's actually a RE/MAX agent. I think she just kind of is a consultant. And this whole program will tell you it's going to go into more detail, but all the things that we are talking about leveraging the advantage you have, the unfair advantage. Nobody stands a chance against you if you do this correctly. There's no reason there's nobody, unless you were not going to get the listing anyway because they're listing with their Aunt Mabel or whatever it is. If you're really in a competitive situation, you do this stuff correctly, you cannot lose the listing. You can't. So.
And it's on your resource list.
On your resource
Kathy
list.
Baker, the Unfair Advantage,
Right.
marketing claims.
And you can find it at remax.net in the download section.
Okay. So talking a little bit about results. We talk about why use a RE/MAX agent. Well, that's because of all the results that we have and the fact that RE/MAX does sell more homes in New Jersey than anybody else, and having the charts in there to back up your claims. Now, why is that important to a seller? Their house will get sold faster. It's like, if we're doing it for everybody else and we're doing it more than anybody else, of course they want to come to us. You want to come, don't you want to work with the winner, the leader in the field? You don't want to work with somebody who's last. So that confidence is there that you're going to be able to get that job done. And that's what we're looking to do, is instill in them that we're the ones who are going to be able to get that done for them in the shortest amount of time. And then when you look at office and personal results, we had some people, is there anybody who's actually new in the business as opposed to just new with RE/MAX? Okay. It's hard to have stats to talk about yourself if you haven't had a whole lot of time in the business yet. So that's why we say look at RE/MAX, you look at your office, you can look at RE/MAX, within your town or within a certain marketplace. You've got to look and see what are the statistics that are going to help you. And Brian Buffini does, and again, we don't get anything from Brian Buffini, but I think Brian Buffini does a lot of good things and has a lot of good messages. But one of the things he talks about is being very upfront with people that I'm new in the business. And I haven't had a lot of transactions to talk about. But what I do have is I have all these people back in the office. I have people in the whole town that we're in, and I have a whole bunch of resources behind me. So if there's something that I don't know, I'm going to go and get it. What I do have is time. And I'm going to devote my time to you and make sure that we get everything done and get all the answers that you need. That's one tactic or technique. Now, I'm not saying that you need to use that one, but that's one way he approaches it. But you've got a lot of resources that you can bring to bear when you're talking with sellers if you haven't been in the business a long time.
One of the places to get, Bill, you can go to the MLS and find a lot of those stats about your office, or go to your broker, and your broker should be able to provide you with some statistics. Almost every market in New Jersey, we're either one or two or wherever. You can break it down, county, somehow, that neighborhood, whatever it is, we're number one virtually everywhere. And being new in the business, you have an advantage over everybody else in this room, especially people who have been in it 10, 12 years. We got a lot of bad habits. We don't, and again, don't take this the wrong, you don't know anything. That's good. Ask her. Yeah, ask the people who've been in the business. Our heads are full of crap, and we're interacting with a lot of people, and sometimes we get a little. You have a big advantage over a lot of us. You really do. Client testimonials. Vanessa talked about that. Get them. All you can do is ask, and ask at the closing. People love you at the closing. Most of the time. Don't ask the wrong people to do a video testimonial.
Most of the time, yeah.
But a video testimony or anything like that, we've got them. And all you can do is ask for them, and you'll get them.
All right, so number 3 in our list of what we're including in our content to wow our sellers is educating the seller. I'm going to make an assumption that everybody has had a problem during a listing at some point in their career. Can we solve all those problems? Probably not, but our experience has been if you haven't actually sat down and given a lot of information to the seller and talked to them about how you're actually going to go about supporting them and marketing their property, if you haven't covered all of that up front, you've left yourself open for a lot of problems. You've got to explain to them what you're going to do as well as what you're not going to do, and maybe a little bit about how the whole market works so that they understand where you're coming from and where the recommendations you're going to make to them are coming from and what they're based on. If you don't do that, then you know what? You've left yourself open, for a lot of discrepancies. If you do open houses, well, then tell people you're going to do open houses for them through the course of the listing. If you don't do open houses, tell them up front so that they don't 2 weeks later come to you and say, well, what about, I thought you were going to be doing open houses. I thought every realtor does open houses. So there's something that could have been avoided right from the very beginning if you had talked about it up front. So that's what we're talking about, trying to get rid of those headaches that come later on. Advertising, same thing.
And if it works in your market area, then go ahead and do it. Don't
Right.
take us as the gospel. It doesn't work in our market area. We don't get any calls. And the agents that I see doing it, they ask them why. Oh, we're going to keep the seller happy. Wait a minute. We're not in the business to keep the seller happy. We're in the business to make a business decision as a business
Exactly.
that's going to work. So everything you do, this is on our side, everything you do about all the stuff we're talking about, you need to measure your results. Okay? It makes no sense to me to do marketing if you're not going to, results meaning you're going to get leads from it, or it's going to, and then that's all it's about, the leads. Whether it's a lead for that house that you're talking about, the listing, or a lead for a buyer, if it's not getting you any of this thing, as a business person, why would you do that? Now at the other companies, that's a whole different story. We're all business people in this room, at least I hope we are, and that's why you're at RE/MAX. So measure everything you do, and measure it against leads. Leads, whether they're personal referrals or they're just somebody's calling you as an inquiry, all right?
All right, so let's look at the resources that we have for getting this information in front of them to educate them. Who goes to the auto classes, the sessions that they do? Okay. It's a great source of information. If you're not going, you may want to think about doing them. They're always jam-packed and they sell out very quickly because he's got the information right there. He presents it in a very logical way, very simple way that you can then communicate to your clients. He also does reports, online information that you can pull from if you're not able to attend the sessions. Where else? Of course, there's lots of other resources. That just happens to be one that we're using that it's all right there. It's specific to your area as well. So, and a great credible source because he's quoted so much in a lot of news articles, magazine articles. So he's a good credible source as well. For pricing, one of the things that, again, Jeff Otto actually was an appraiser. That was his background. So as he is communicating all the information about statistics and what's going on in our marketplace, he also does a CMA and pricing workshop. And he has a guideline for, and I haven't seen an updated one yet, but there may be one out there. This one's dated 2011, but it talks about how to make adjustments for different things in a property. If has a finished basement, if it has solar panels, et cetera, those kinds of things. So
Okay.
I was going to say, we're not going to do a CMA workshop or even major discussion here because that could be a 3-day class in and of itself of how you price properties. But there's resources to show where your recommendations for pricing are coming from so that you can educate the seller.
I would encourage everybody to make pricing like at the top of your list. It's stuff that you have to learn and seek out resources to learn how to do that. Because none of what we're talking about here matters at all. Not one iota if you don't price the property right. Because we all know if you don't price it right, what's not going to happen? Not going to sell. All right? So put that at the top of your list as something to learn how to do and learn how to do it very well. The people that do the best in our business know how to price properties. And it can be kind of an instinctive thing. People are really good at it. They just boom, they just got it. They understand it. And they price them well. They don't even need to do any of the marketing. The house just sells because it's priced exactly where it needs to be to generate a sale.
There's a auto workshop on CMA.
Right.
Yep.
That's great.
Good.
You said there's one coming up this spring from Otto on a CMA. I think it's coming up soon. Yeah, next week.
Very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if there's still room, it may be something
Seek
you
it
want to
out.
think about. And what's on the right-hand side of the screen here is the Toolkit CMA. If some of you have used that, that's another resource available to us. It's a way that you take all of the information from an MLS and put it into a very nice, neat package We talked about quality presentation earlier. It's a great way to present that so that you're not presenting just MLS sheets. I don't know how, I'm sure you've been there where you walk into a seller and they've had somebody else there and all you see are MLS sheets around. Not the most effective way to kind of put all of that information. So think about presenting it in a nice package. Yes?
Could you repeat where that was?
toolkitcma.com.
I don't know what office you work in, but your broker has access to a discount thing. Not all offices participate in it, but you can either pursue it on your own or ask your broker first before you go ahead and you just go ahead and do it. If you
Yeah,
don't
because
have
it'd be
it.
a lot less
He
expensive.
may already have it there.
Industry facts, statistics, and trends. This actually happens to be a report that if you've gone through Peak Producers with Brian Buffini, you have immediate access to this. It's just, again, one report that we use, but it talks about, and he does it fairly consistently, so he's always updating it, and it talks about where buyers are coming from, buyer behaviors, and you want to know that because you want to educate your seller as to where it's most likely that they're going to find a buyer. What are you going to do in terms of marketing that's going to find those buyers, and you're going to find them in places where the real estate reports are telling you the buyers are, which websites and what kind of behavior, what are they looking for. So all that information is going to be in there. There's also on NAJAR and the NAR websites, there's a lot of information around that as well. So that's another resource for you, and whatever you take it from, you want it to be a credible source.
Showing preparation. We use a David Knox video, which you can get at davidknox.com, and we have a number of those. Pricing, preparing your home to sell. Some houses you do need to leave this. Some you can't get through to the seller yourself. Let them look at a third party who tells them you need to paint the front door, you need to clean up, you need to make your bed. I mean, just some common sense stuff. But it's something that we use. When we do have to leave this or a pricing one we have from David Knox, Vanessa leaves a little thing of popcorn and tells them, I got homework for you. Make some popcorn, sit down and watch these DVDs. Sometimes they watch it, sometimes they don't, but our experience is when they do, it makes a major difference.
Because some people are visual. You can tell some people just need to see it for themselves. And it showcases model homes so they see what it looks like. And then it takes it off of you to have to talk about that. I've also gone through the staging class, so that's something else that I found very helpful because it just helps to give you some specific guidelines to give to people rather than just saying, well, I'll show you what you need to do or tell you. It says, here are the guidelines. There's a lot of stuff online. Familiarize yourself with that stuff. We offer it we talk about adding value. We offer it and we tell them that we do a staging consultation as part of what we do with folks, how we work with sellers, that there are people out there who this is a business, that they come in and they're going to do different things than what we do. I'm not actually going to go in and move the furniture, and I'll move around some pictures and things like that, but I don't have the muscles to be able to help them move furniture from place to place, but you can at least give them the guidelines to do that. And if you need resources, there are staging companies. Yep. You know what? He's asking for recommendations for staging resources. A lot of people work regionally. So if you go on to stagedhomes.com, that would be one of them, and there's a resource right on there and I think you put in a location, a zip code, and you'll come up with stagers in those particular areas.
The other thing to do when you're looking for anything like that, ask somebody in your office. Find somebody in your office who's used somebody.
Yep.
Get a referral. Resources. Plumbers, electricians, painters, carpenters, handymen. You need to have a list of these people because you can go into a lot of houses and sometimes there's a lot of things that need to be done prior. That's for a listing, and sometimes you wind up with a buyer that needs to get estimates and things for different work. Anybody know a good plumber? Jackie, who works in my office, has a husband who's a plumber. Paragon Plumbing, they do great work. Write it down. You get a plug. This is going worldwide, Jackie.
And then one thing to keep in mind is we talked about having Dropbox. You can have a resource list, right, accessible to you on your phone so that should you have to look something up for a client, you've got it right there available. The last thing you want to do is have somebody in, when you're in a presentation, and say, well, what I need is, do you have a roofer, or do you have, whatever they might need, and you say, oh, geez, well, let me go back to my office, and I'm sure I can find somebody for you. You want to have those resources available to give them right there and then.
Here's an app for you. You can put it on your phone. It's called CamCard. On CamCard, there, but what I've done is I put people who are resources, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, that's all I put in there. And if somebody wants them, and then you take a snapshot of the card, and then you fill in some information, make sure it's all correct, because sometimes the picture doesn't scan exactly right. And then, if somebody needs a plumber or electrician, you just hit the button, you can send it to me, and here's the guy, here's my guy. Call this guy, and you have it right on your phone. And it's only, don't complicate it by putting all kinds of your friends and then the diner and all this other stuff. Just put the resources on CamCard on your iPhone. I don't know about the Android. I'm sure it'll work on there too. Educate the seller, the marketing plan. The marketing plan has to tell him what you do, how you do it, what you don't do, and how you stay in contact. Vanessa talked a little bit about that. You have to be very specific about the whole thing. From right now I'm sitting in your home to when we go to the closing and you get your check and you walk out, every single thing that's going to happen between now and then, within reason, what to expect from each party, and how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. What you're doing is you're managing their expectations. They know right ahead. They know all way ahead of time what's going to happen. And those all connect to those three things over there. Here's just a little analogy that I always like to use. If you woke up one morning and you say, I got a pain. Oh, man, this is killing me. And you go to the doctor, and you walk in and you go, I think I have my appendix. And the doctor says to you, all right, go to the hospital, take out your appendix. And that's it. All right? Doesn't ask you any questions. Doesn't tell you what's going to happen next. Doesn't ask you about a test. Does nothing except just, go to the hospital, take out your appendix. You going to use that guy? No. And it's the same thing. Treat yourself as a business and a professional and do the same thing. These are your clients who you're serving. And if you're going to serve them properly, you're going to ask them questions. You're going to tell them what to expect. You're going to walk them through the whole process so that everybody's on the same page. Because when you're not on the same page, you have headaches in your listings.
So in terms of our marketing plan, these are just some guidelines about the kinds of information that we put into our discussion about our marketing plan. In a little bit, you're going to actually see our table of contents of what actually goes into our presentation, but this is just a guideline for some of the things that we talk about. And staying in contact, we're actually going to give you, we actually suggest that you tell clients ahead of time how you're going to stay in touch with them, right from the very beginning, rather than waiting till the end and when you actually get an offer, what's going to happen from there, or when you close the transaction, the fact that you're going to stay in touch with them after that as well to ensure whether they're making a move somewhere else and how you're going to still care about them after the transaction is done. There's a little love-o-meter up there. It's like, when do people love you the most? A seller. When does a seller love you the most? Typically right at the listing presentation when they say, yes, you're hired, right? I want to work with you. They love you. So at that time, that's probably a good time to be talking to them about how you're going to stay in touch, and also to talk to them about getting referrals. What a great time to say, in the meantime, if you know other folks, why not? They love you the best then, so take advantage of it. But also talk to them about how you're going to give them feedback, what kind of activity you're going to be coaching them on, and telling them where they can go to find out what's happening with their property and how it's getting exposure on the different websites that you've talked about. What kind of market updates do you give them? Do you send them the report that can be sent right from the back of the RE/MAX website? And I know a lot of people don't even know about that or forget about it, that there's a report that can be sent to the seller right from there. You can send a report from Realtor.com, Tour Factory, Showing Suite. Those are all the resources that we use, but I let people know all the information is there. You can look at all of it, you can look at none of it, or they can look at some of it. It's their choice, but it's my job to let them know what I'm doing and what the results are. Let them know whether you're going to talk to them by phone, face-to-face, email contact. What about price reductions? Let them know up front what the strategy is regarding price reductions, so that when you're coming to them and to talk about it, that it's not a surprise and that it's expected. And then what the process is going to be from the point that they get an offer all the way through to closing. Those are just some examples. And
After-
then, yeah, go ahead. No,
Go ahead.
Talk about Brian Buffini.
Okay. This is a Brian Buffini. At the bottom of the chart I gave you about business success had community care and client contact. Basically, this is what this is, contact, care, and community. It's a client appreciation program that we use, that it's items of value. We send them out every month, and we tell people right up front when we're doing business with them, we're not going to abandon you once you sell your house and you move over to here. We're going to send you some information periodically. It comes from us every month, and it's value. It brings value to the transaction. What it also does is keeps in touch with them for them to do what? Send you referrals. Because if they move from this area and they move to Virginia, it doesn't mean they don't know somebody here, all right? And you can build a great big network of people that are going to constantly refer to you if you participate in something like this of some nature. You don't have to do Brian Buffini if you don't want to, but you need to have some kind of follow-up at everybody that you do business with, especially if you made them happy. One of the things we say in a listing presentation, and you can write this down, is let me tell you, Mr. Seller, what our job here is today. My job is to make you so happy that you're going to refer people to me. Oh, really? Every time we say that, they're like, oh, really? Okay. So they know what to expect. Great service. Those are, we get them every month from Brian Buffini. We pay for it. It's just, and then we have access to his website and all the different tools. But we get a printed item of value. It's about things that are pertinent. Not stuff like if you're selling your house this, because these are not sellers now at this point. They're things like how to increase your credit score. If you're thinking of putting a new kitchen in your house, these are things you need to look for. They're high quality things. We get a bunch of personal notes. It's a whole system. If you haven't taken the Peak Producer course, my opinion, 30 years in the business, and there's probably some people in here that have been around who will bear this out. It's one of the best training programs there is. There really is. It's a great training program. It gives you the basis for business. It's simple. The spinning wheel over here that I put in the center of my client thing, that's what it has to do with, maintaining, getting referral business. Because the saying is, if you're new to the business and you're working, or even if you've been in the business a long time, if you're working as hard now as you did the first 3 years, you're doing something way wrong. Should not be working as hard. Your business should be easier for you because you're getting referrals. Because what's the hardest thing to do? In my mind, it's not working with the buyers or the sellers. It's getting leads. It's getting people to work with. Once you have people to work with and you have a stream of people that are always coming in, your business is easy. You put some systems in place, you do all the right things, and your business just flows along. But when you don't have leads and you're out of deals, it's like it ain't fun, right? And if you're still, it's 6, 7 years in the business, you're still working as hard to get those leads as you did the first 3, something's not right.
That's the difference between building a business and working transactionally. You want to build a business that is repeatable, that you get referrals coming in, not where you're always going out and looking for people out in the marketplace. It's part of it. You certainly can supplement your business, but some people work only by referral and have a very successful business.
Some people in this room, I bet you Dawn probably has a big referral business, correct? Mm-hmm. Dawn's been in the business a long time. I know that she knows what she's doing. She has a lot of referrals. She's not out beating the, I got to find a buyer, I got to find a seller. Probably Neen's. Oh, well, yeah, okay. We like beating the bushes a little bit too. That's instinctive in us as real estate agents. We're out there trying to get that business, and that's cool. But it's nice to sit back and know that next month I'm going to have 5 or 6 transactions because I've been doing this a long time, and people are going to be calling me up. I just know it. I just absolutely know it, without a doubt. So that's how you should be.
So are you suggesting a once-a-month mail?
That's what we do. Month-to-month mail. Try to do at least four what we call pop buys of some nature. Client appreciation party. People come. We do a thing at the ballpark, and it's fun. And we do a pie thing. We do a pie giveaway at Thanksgiving. We went away. Our team, we gave away 120-some pies. Cost us a lot of money. Went to Mr. Todd's Pies. Everybody know Mr. Todd? Big, expensive, good, great pies. We sent the thing out. We're coming. What kind of pie you want? And Thanksgiving, we went to all our clients, over 100 and some people. Here's a pie. Have a nice Thanksgiving. A
We
lot of
contact
work.
them ahead of time and ask them, we give them a choice of 3 different pies. We ask them what they want. We purchase the pies, and then in 1 or 2 days, we drive around and we get to see everybody. And we let them know generally what time we're going to be coming to their area. So hopefully we get to see them, because that's the whole idea. Occasionally, we have to drop it when they're not there, and we have a little bag and that we put it in. But the other thing we do is we actually combine it with also a food drive. So we ask them if they'd like to leave anything for us for the food bank. We'll pick that up as well. So we feel like we're giving and getting at the same time. Because sometimes it's Thanksgiving and people feel like, well, what do you mean you're giving me a pie? I should be giving something away. So it gives them a chance to also give. So it's a nice thing.
Just one of those things in your client appreciating serving your client and building your business. That's what I mean by now we get referrals from people. We like them, they like us.
Now we have clients that we actually sell properties to, and they said, forget about the closing gift, just bring us a pie. Because they're so good. Was there another? Oh, we got 2 here.
Okay.
Let's go this way first, and then we'll go there. That's great.
In Brian Buffini's program, he's got all kinds of examples of how to do that.
And
Do
just
that
in
same
case
kind of thing.
anybody didn't hear that the suggestion was that there's a relish mustard and ketchup pack that he brings to his clients, just in case anybody missed that, and has a cute little saying that goes along with it. That's great.
So after 23 years, I probably have 500 or 600 past clients. Are you sending 500 or 600 out?
No, if you're doing the Buffini program, what you're going to do is you have A clients, B clients, C clients, and goodbye clients. Okay, you have 500 people. You have 500 people. I guarantee you, there's a whole bunch of those people. There's a whole bunch of those people who aren't going to refer or whatever. Okay, and you could build your business on 10 or 20 really good people who do nothing but refer to you, depending on the level you want to take it. So you're going to prioritize your clients and who you're going to spend time with. And if you take the Buffini, the Peak Producers program, they'll show you exactly how to do it. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, just one of those pop pies, I did one the other day. I took a Chinese food container, put hot peppers in it, and put it in a red bag, and I dropped it off at a client's house, and basically said the market is as hot as these peppers.
Oh.
It cost me much.
That was good. Again, a little Chinese food container and a little sign that the market is as hot as these peppers, and dropped it off to her clients. So there's lots of creative things, and you can make up your own, you can find them out there, but it's a way to stay in touch with them, and it's fun. So we've kind of covered what we believe should be the content that goes into your presentation, your marketing presentation when you're sitting with a seller. So what we typically do at this point is just walk through our approach and our materials. And what's going to happen is on the websites, on the RE/MAX of New Jersey website, you're actually going to have access to our specific materials. So you can go in there, you can download, if you like them and you want to use them, by all means, take it. You obviously can't use it the way that it is because it has all of our information, our stats, all of that stuff. But if you want to leave our stuff in there and refer people to us, that's fine. But I think you'd probably want to put your picture in there and your information. And a reminder, too, that you need to put updated information in there because there may be some 2012 stuff left in there. So you want to make sure you keep on updating it with current information. So it's all there. So we're just going to walk through that at this point in time. And again, any questions, feel free. We do a 2-step process most of the time. How many do 1 step and how many do 2 steps? Ones? Varies? It might vary. 2-step. I like to do a 2-step whenever you can because it gives you an opportunity to build a little bit more of a relationship with people. There are some cases where where it's a townhouse community or someplace where you know all the properties and it's real easy to go in there and kind of do a market analysis ahead of time. So you've got to use your discretion, but we're going to walk through what a typical 2-step marketing process is for us.
I would suggest if you think you're always going to do 1 step, you better be really good at thinking on your feet. All right, really good. And pricing. If you're not, don't do a 1 step. You need to get back, doors closed, all by yourself, head down, and focus on getting the price right and what you need to do and whether you even want to take the listing. You know, you don't want to go to one step and get all backed into a corner and you walk out and you go, oh my God, I got an overpriced listing, they're not listening to me, they're not motivated, the whole 9 yards. So be really careful.
I just wanted to comment on that, and whether I do a one-step or a two-step, all depends on that qualifying interview that I initially have before I get to the house.
Sure,
Yep.
that's
That'll
actually
tell
like
me
the
what I
first,
need to do.
that's actually the first
Absolutely.
step.
I don't want to do a two-step and leave, and they listen with the agent after me.
Right.
Who did it one-step. So
Yep.
I think that qualifying phone conversation is what you need to know to,
That's because you work in Middlesex County, it's bad down there.
there's not.
Okay, so the first step is the research and rapport part of it. So it's the phone contact and it's the first appointment, the first, what we call the pre-listing appointment. So we've got, as we said, the pre-listing and the marketing presentation are going to be two different steps. The first appointment, you've actually, even before you go to the first appointment, get the opportunity to drive by the house and take a picture. Because then in the initial materials you're going to leave with people, it actually has their picture in there already. And isn't that great the first time you meet with somebody that they see the material that actually has their house right on it? So if you can. The first appointment, we're going to talk about gathering information and starting to develop that rapport with people, start working on the relationship. And then we leave a book behind, whether we leave it in a print format or on a flash drive, depends on what our initial, to Dawn's point, what our initial conversation sounds like with them, and we ask them, I'm going to bring some information with me. Would you prefer that I bring a print copy, or are you comfortable if I bring it on a flash drive? Ask them, and then you can do it either way. And it's called the What You Need to Know book. It's what you need to know before you sell your home. And we're going to go through that in a moment, the kind of information that's in there. If we are using a DVD, I'm going to bring some popcorn with me and give them the DVD. Sometimes I do a pricing your home to sell DVD that I might bring on a first appointment. Sometimes having a third party, and this is another David Knox DVD, having a third party talk about the market and pricing and how to price appropriately, and it talks about right pricing, is it just only helps to substantiate the approach that you're going to take with them. And I might leave that ahead of time. Dave talked about the homework assignment would be to watch the DVD and to look through the What You Need to Know book. And then we're going to ask some questions about the house, and we're going to talk about the CMA and the marketing plan.
Actually, when you see the video of this that's being taped, their actual slide presentation will be embedded right in it. So you'll be able to see this all again online at remax-nj.net, and actually Mobile Agent TV, we're going to post it up there too. And actually, what I'll probably do is I'll have Megan put the actual slide presentation up with the other materials, and you could download the whole
You
thing.
can have
but
this too.
It's in Keynote, so it'll all be there again if you miss something. Before we get to the motivation part of it, there's a lot of detail in the last slide about all of this stuff, and you may think, you may be sitting here looking at us going like, man, they do a lot of little things, there's a lot of work, and you know, my question would be, if you only have 1 or 2 listings at a time, you probably don't need to do a lot of the detail. You know, you could handle all the problems and the headaches that go along with it if you choose. But you could still have only 1 or 2 listings and do it the way you sort of could get into all the detail and do all the right things and not have those headaches. But if you have any motivation to carry a lot of listings and really get into listing a lot of properties, you better have systems. And you have to have systems and do all the detail, because you won't be able to handle 10, 12, 15 listings at a time if you have problems with them because you missed something, because you didn't take the time to go through a detailed listing presentation and give them a pricing video and go through this whole 2-step thing. I mean, it's your choice, but the more detailed you get, the more you follow the system, the less headaches you'll have, and then you could either carry 2 listings or you can carry 20, and you could still get this done. I mean, I see people that carry a lot of listings, and man, they're like going 80 hours a week. That's your choice.
But it's all done, you know, if you can do it all with systems, you can handle the same amount, and you can handle twice the amount of business in the same amount of time. What you need to know.
Okay. Motivation. Motivation is real important. It's probably the most important thing you're going to find out when you go on that first step or you do that phone interview that Dawn does. You have to find out if they're motivated to really sell their house. Because if they say things to you like, well, I don't really need to sell, you know, I don't know, I don't need to go anywhere, maybe I'm just going to test the market. Oh, yeah, if I can get 500 for my house and it's a $400,000 neighborhood, then you know you have to measure the motivation, measure the mo. Brian Buffini says, no mo, no go. And David Knox, if you know who he is on his videos, he goes, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And he said, I don't know that he literally says that to these people, but you know they have to be motivated, and there has to be some external motivation that they have no control over. I'm just going to test the market, but he tells you that my boss says in 2 months I have to be out of Chicago and I have to have my family out there for my new job. Well, all right, you want to overprice it a little bit, we'll go along with that. And then the next thing you know, his boss will be talking to him. So you need to find out all of this stuff. The motivation is real key.
And here's some of the questions that help us to get the information we need to determine the motivation. And these are just examples. Again, we're not giving you a complete list here, but just some things to encourage you to ask also open questions that get the seller talking a little bit more about themselves and the property. Tell me about your situation. What improvements have you made? Mortgages and balances, as Dave talked about earlier, to make sure right up front you determine whether there's a short sale situation or not, because then the whole situation changes and this whole rest of the presentation goes out the window and you're having a whole different discussion. To build rapport, you know, what were the features that attracted you to the home? Tell me about your family. And then uncovering their motivation. Why are you selling? What are your plans after the property sells? That's kind of a key thing. Or what are you going to do if your property sells very quickly? Do you have some place to go? So it gives you some ideas about how motivated they really are.
Or what are you going to do, Mr. Seller, if your property doesn't sell? That'll get them talking. That's just another key question.
Yep.
One of the things that up at the bottom over there was another little app you may want to write down. I don't think it's in the resource list. It's called Notes Plus. All right, you want to set yourself apart right on your iPad. There's a couple of different things you can. I think Evernote does something similar, but I'm not really like an Evernote person. But I use a thing called Notes Plus. Notes Plus, you can literally write on it, take pictures. You can take video, all from this one app. You can take pictures, video. You can write notes. You can all embed it in there. So as you're going through the property, in your first step looking and getting all this information, taking pictures of the different things, not that you're going to use for marketing, but something just to have your own information. Notes Plus, it's something and you just kind of, you can write on it, and I can do all the different things right on it. And if you get familiar with it, it's really a pretty cool app to walk through the house rather than I've got all this paper and you're writing. It's like you get real familiar with it, and it's a good app to try to use. Notes Plus.
And if you're trying to sell technology and say that, that's one of the reasons why they should list with you, what better way than to actually demonstrate it by taking your notes right on the iPad as you're walking around and taking some pictures. A couple other questions around expectations. I always like to ask people about what their expectations of a real estate agent are, because that's how you get to avoid some of the problems that perhaps they've had in the past. And this is a matter of, some people like to ask this next question and some don't. What range or what price do they think their home should be listed at? And that's a personal preference. Sometimes I like to know that depending on the situation. Sometimes I would rather not know it because I'd rather go back and do my CMA objectively without knowing what the seller had in their mind. So that's up to you of how you go about doing that, but it could certainly help because you'll know what your approach is going to need to be if they're thinking that it's a lot higher than what you're going to come back with. If they were ready to list, and then some technical information. Obviously, you need to know about the workings of the property itself and what they've updated, what might need to be fixed. This is the What You Need to Know book. There's an agenda on here. On the website, you'll actually see the book itself, so you don't have to worry about reading everything that's on there. It looks like it's pretty lengthy. It's about 20 pages or so. And as we said, we either give it to them in hard copy in those books that you saw being passed around, or we give it on a flash drive. And it's just a nice way to say, look, there's a lot of information in here about us, and you can send this before your appointment, or you can give it to them at the first appointment. And it just is information about us, generally about the marketplace, about pricing. And you'll learn a lot about somebody if you come back for your second appointment and they've read the whole thing, and they come back and ask you questions about it or comment on something about some personal information that you have in there. So you'll know whether somebody is a detail person and wants everything, or whether they're like, oh, just tell me the bottom line and kind of go from there. I'm just going to, just one other point is another way to differentiate yourself, because there are not a lot of people who bring information with them the first time around that has that background. You're up, Dave.
Okay, the property is priced right, it will sell. That kind of goes without saying, but there's a lot of agents that take way overpriced listings, and unless there's some kind of motivation, at least in my opinion, it's a waste of your time and your money. Again, you're in business to serve the client. You're not serving the client well by letting them to believe. And a matter of fact, there is an article in the Code of Ethics that prevents you from letting a client think that his house is worth more than it is, just so you can get the listing. And I just wish that there were some times when some agents would call out some agents on this, because that's where all these overpriced listings come from, and they don't do anybody any good. They don't do us any good. They don't do other sellers or buyers any good. It just bogs down the system. So pricing is important. So you need to be prepared to discuss market conditions, recent sales, comparison between seller's property and comparable properties, and key statistics for the value of their property and why it's different. If you're, again, I go back to the detailed stuff. If you're in a neighborhood where you haven't been into some of the other comparables, it's hard to get into some of the properties already sold, but some of the available competition, if you haven't been in it, you may want to go over and take the time and go into a couple of the houses that they're going to compete directly with this listing you're trying to get, because it's going to ensure that you got the price right, and it's also going to impress the seller to say, oh, you know, oh, that's that house over there, I've showed that house, or I was in that property, that's the one with the pink kitchen, all right? And they probably know, if they're looking to put their house on the market and there's other houses in the neighborhood they may have been in already, they may know the people, they may have been an open house, and it doesn't look too good if you say something about those properties and they've been in them and you haven't. It's not a good idea. So when I first started in the business, I had no idea how to price properties, and when I was going to take a listing, go on a listing appointment, I went to every house that I could get my hand. I spent days, because I had all this time on my hands, all right? I spent days going around the properties and making sure that I knew what I was talking about, and then it just kind of builds, and then you know the market, and you kind of go from there, all right? Pricing is very important.
This is actually the agenda of what goes into our, we do 2 books, and they both get delivered either print or on a flash drive. And this is the second book that we give actually at the marketing presentation itself. So we're giving some information, background about us and our philosophy, and the importance that we put on training and being able to deliver the most up-to-date information to our clients. We talk about RE/MAX, and we tell the whole RE/MAX story that we talked about earlier. Our marketing approach, our marketing plan, we talk about staging and the process for doing that. Then we talk about pricing. We don't talk about pricing first, because once you talk about pricing, we never get to anything else. Showing, and we give them some showing guidelines and preparation. Communication, feedback, and market updates. That's how we're going to stay in contact with them. And then what the negotiating process is going to be like. And then our commitment to them and what we're looking for as a commitment from them.
And one of the things, just when you talk about the pricing, we do that last. We tell them right up front when we start to do the presentations. We're not going to talk about pricing, because once we talk about pricing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're not going to be able to talk about the marketing. And they go, oh, yeah, you're right. So again, you're telling them ahead of time what's going to happen. And believe me, people, when they know what's going to happen next, there's no unknowns. They're just buying into you. They're buying into you. This is the guy I want to do business with, because you're building a picture for them that says, man, this is going to be a good transaction for the seller, because I'm not going to be blindsided by anything, all right? It's a good practice. It's worked for us.
So we're actually going to walk through our keynote presentation, our listing presentation.
Yeah, you got to switch it over. Here we go. We're going to do this pretty quick, because, you know, we don't need to get into all the little details, but we just want you to get a look at it. But understand that in the resource list is kind of our little take on how to go to remax-nj.net/RSU. It's all there. What you want to do is you take the presentation, say the keynote or PowerPoint, we put it in all the forms, it's in Word and Pages, print it out, and then if you not familiar with Word or Pages or Keynote or whatever it is you're going to do, mark it all up. I want to take this out, put this picture in here, take this out, take that, I don't do this, but I'm going to do that. Keeping in mind, as you're building it, you're going to do these, all three things have to pertain, all right? And go find somebody who's familiar with it. My suggestion is familiar with that program. Anybody over 8 years old or above. 8 to teenager.
Used to be 13, but
Used
it
to be
seems to
13.
have gotten
Little
younger.
kids.
Soon
Oh
it's
yeah,
gonna
you
be
want to put that
3-year-olds.
picture in there? Boom, 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 and they do it, and they're like this. Now, that's only if you're really scared of it, but I suggest you try to learn it. It's not that hard. But you can use younger people. Use your 8-year-old as a resource. They will show you how to do it. They don't know any different. All right? So we'll fly through this.
We're just going to walk through. I'm not going to deliver it like I'd be delivering it, but talking about our mutual objective. Nobody can usually argue that point. We set the agenda right at the beginning of what we're going to talk to them about. Here's a picture of us and our team members and some of our stats. The RE/MAX story slides. And you'll see it's pretty straightforward. A couple of things that, we like to talk about how we're different, but then we talk about some of the things that are very specific to us about things like getting sign calls and internet leads and how those things come directly to us.
And one of the things that is in the back of the resource list, the last thing, everything you do with those three things in building this presentation and everything you do as you talk, as you give your presentation, connect it to a benefit for the seller. Always connect it to a benefit for the seller. Because the seller really, human nature, they don't care about that you're number one and you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's all fine, but then tell them why it's going to help them. Because I know this market better than anybody. Because that's why I sold all these houses.
Yep.
So just make sure you connect it to a benefit to the seller.
And always positioning our role, what is our job really in working with the seller? My job is to bring the maximum number of potential buyers to your property. So I need to expose it to the most potential buyers out there. That's my objective. Do I really sell your house? You can't really sell a house. My objective is to get people in there to look at it. And then people are going to like it or they're not going to like it. You can't force them to like a property. So there's some more of the statistics, and we talk about the confidence in RE/MAX and the competency and the power of the brand and the fact that, and I'll say this in the presentation, why does that matter to you? What matters is people who are showing your property are going to know, typically when they see a RE/MAX sign, they're going to know that they're going to deal with an experienced agent who's going to be able to handle the situation properly. It also means that because of the branding or driving people to the website, it's more people who are going to see your property. And these are the results that we're looking for. We do it. We get it done. Our job is to maximize the value, and how we're doing that is through 3 key steps: marketing, staging, and pricing. Those are the 3 key factors. We talk about what each one of those means. And then we go through the marketing piece. And you'll see these are the same resources that we walked through earlier, saying that we use in our actual presentation. So here they are. Talking about the market exposure, and then we actually get into our specific marketing plan that really focuses on website promotion and getting it out on the internet. We do those other things too, but the web-based is basically going to be the way that we go because that's where buyers are. And if that's where the buyers are, that's where we're going to go. And typically if those people are looking for other properties, if they're moving somewhere else, we ask them where they're getting their information from, and most of them are going to be on the internet. So we ask them about the websites that they're looking on. And those just happen to be the same websites where we're going to be promoting their property. So we show them about all of the resources and the websites that we're going to be using. Those are just some of the primary ones. I don't know if we talked about this earlier or not. We use a service called vFlyer. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but we pay on a monthly basis. We put together an internet flyer, send it to vFlyer, and they send it out to, 50, 60, 70 other websites. The number changes all the time. Because for us to manage that process would be overwhelming. So we give it to them, and they get it out on all of those other smaller and more boutique kind of websites.
And it's,
Yes.
yeah, vflyer.com. It's only $10 a month. And there's a limit to the number of listings, but it's pretty high, 20.
In addition to ListHub?
Now, ListHub's another thing, same, it's like, ListHub is like vFlyer, similar. They do the same thing. They send it out.
MLS not use ListHub?
They do, but I don't like ListHub. It's just personal. We've been using V5. It doesn't do anything anymore. Middlesex MLS uses ListHub, which we're a member of. We don't carry many listings there. But again, it's just not, it's free. But for $10 a month, we're using V-Flyer. We're familiar with it. It works. We get a lead now and then from that resource.
We talk about Facebook and Tour Factory, which is the service that we use to do our virtual tours. Again, not to say there aren't others, but I find it really easy to work with. That the fact that their property, because we're doing a virtual tour that looks like a video, that it winds up on YouTube. And then we also have added in now some of the videos that we're doing, and we talk to them about that and what that means in terms of getting a website to come up quicker and for us to get that exposure. And we also talk about why is it important for us to potentially get the buyer leads rather than it just going to another agent. And we talk about the fact that we can manage the transaction more effectively. And we also, and again, this is different for everybody, you're not recommending that you do this, but if we actually have the buyer, we will change our commission plan if we're bringing the buyer to the table as well as working with the seller. And QR codes. If you're not familiar with them, some clients know them, some don't, but we actually take a QR code for our tour and post it in a property so that as they're walking around, they can actually, if somebody's familiar with what a QR code is, they can take a copy of the virtual tour with them when they get the, when they use it in the property.
Most places and flyers that you'll create today, no matter what the software, has the ability to create a QR code for that very thing. You know, a lot of the video email services do. Tour Factory does, and just about everybody can create a QR code to send people right to that website.
So there was a lot of hype about QR codes for a while, but it seems like it didn't really take off.
Yeah. Well, it's been QR codes have been around for 30 years, and just, you're right, there was a thing, but it's just something we put out there, and there's people that use them. We just put a little sign that says, if you know what this is, take a tour with you. That's it. It's that simple.
We talk about signage and how we differ from some of the other companies in terms of being able to get the call-ins directly, because who would you want answering questions about your property? Somebody who knows it well or somebody who's not necessarily ever been in there? So we're going to use that as a key advantage for why that's so important in terms of getting leads from websites as well as call-ins. We use eMerge to send out mailings to and emailings to notify realtors about property listings when they come on the market. It used to be, that was kind of a key thing back, I don't know, what, 5-6 years ago. Everybody was sending out those one pages from Silk Purse and Constant Contact. They seem to have died down quite a bit, and I'm not sure if that was a reflection of the market, that people didn't have time, didn't have money, what the situation was. But we like to highlight for our market, you know, our specific market area when we get a new listing, because we don't want it to just be something that gets lost in the shuffle. We're going to highlight it.
eMerge also can manage some of your social media. It can post things to a blog, to Facebook, Twitter. It can send out a newsletter to all these different resources too. It takes some setup, but if you're going to do a lot of social media, it's a way to manage it easier than doing it all yourself.
We talk about all the things we do in managing the listing for them, that it's not about just doing the pictures and putting it up there, but there's a lot more to it. We talk about the format that they're going to get the results in. So showing feedback, you know, we don't do those phone calls where we're calling and asking other agents for feedback. So if anybody in the room calls me and asks me for feedback on properties that are shown, I will say I'm sorry now because it's too inefficient. A lot of times when people call you, you don't even know, if you've showed 20 properties on the weekend, how do you remember which property it was? It just makes no sense. It's just not a good way to do it. If you show me a picture of it and you ask me a couple of questions, oh, I remember showing that property, I remember some things about it, and I can take 2 minutes or 30 seconds and click off a couple of boxes and give somebody feedback. It's also great because you don't have to filter it or interpret it for a seller. They get to see the same raw feedback that you're getting, which I believe is invaluable, because if you get 9 out of 10 clients or 9 out of 10 buying agents telling you that the property is overpriced, You get the seller calling you and saying, hey, 9 of these people are telling us that it's overpriced. Should we do something about it? You know, if you get one who says it, it's maybe a different story. They may be doing some pre-negotiating. So you need to look at that and pay attention to it, but it's great for the seller to see it themselves because they manage it.
And if the agent's calling you on the phone, what's the question they always ask you? The only question they ask you. Is there any interest from your buyer? That's all they're not really looking for feedback. Okay, you can give them electronic, fill it in, real feedback. Their seller said, somebody showed my house. They're going to buy it? Well, let me call them. But to me, it's totally inefficient. Like Vanessa said, it's a big waste of time. It's one agent chasing one deal almost all the time.
And you can change the questions. The question that I think gives you the most value, I add a question that says, if they're not interested in the property, why not? And then they'll tell you they either bought something else or it was too small or the layout, and maybe it's something you could do something about. And I would say half the time, there's really not anything you can do about it, but it's good for the seller to see that feedback.
Does this service also schedule appointments for you?
It does. I don't use it, but it does. I think it's again, when some of those systems, from our perspective, I don't think it's the most efficient way of doing it because they either have to call the agent or call the seller anyway, so it adds an extra step. But, you know, again, it's up to you of what you think works for your business.
All our listings, what we do, and again, if you do it differently, there's nothing wrong with that either, but what we do is you want to show, either call us, if it's an unusual situation, and we'll arrange the showing, or almost probably 90% of the time, call a homeowner direct and set up an appointment. Leave a message, there's a lockbox. That's simple.
Yep.
But then you have no record before showing.
Yes, I do. We have an electronic lockbox on the house.
And they must use the lockbox. Our sellers are all trained that
Yep,
even
PIN
if an
card.
agent comes when they're there, and we leave a sign up there that says, please record your showing on the lockbox, even if the seller lets you into the property. And you get that notification, I don't know, what is it, within 5 minutes after they've used the lockbox. So you know if they've been in there or not been in there. No, this is not eMerge. This is Showing Suite, is the report that sellers get on the left-hand side. The middle one is from Realtor.com, and the one on the right is from Tour Factory.
That's just a sample of the reports that the seller, that's what they see. They'll get emails. And like Vanessa said, we tell them you can look at it, you can spend a lot of time, or you can ignore it. And some people do, and some people look at it.
However, if you're going to send them to clients, make sure you're aware of them yourself, because they may ask you questions about it. And shame on you if you say, oh, geez, I never even looked at that. You know, you've got to be aware of what's going out to them. All of these reports you check off a box that says send me a copy at the same time it's going to the client. Staging, we talk about the benefits of staging and why it's so important. We give them a couple of key tips, and then we walk around the house and we'll put a list together. You know, first time I walk around the house, I'll give them some suggestions, some general suggestions, and I tell them once we agree to work together, I will go through room by room and give you a written list of suggestions of what to do for each room to make it show its absolute best. But I'm not going to do that until they actually commit to working with me. I got to hold a little something back. You know, we're giving them a lot of stuff. And then we go into pricing, and we talk about conditions, we talk about what's important to keep in mind, we talk about the information we're going to review with them, and then we actually review it. Not until the end, you know, and normally it'll come up as a question from them as you're getting through the process. If not, I bring it up and I say, I'm sure you're going to be interested in knowing what our compensation or commission plan is. And then we review it with them. And I do it in writing. It's actually, I don't have it written, just so you know, it doesn't actually go up on the keynote. I don't put our commission schedule in there, but I have it either in the book, or if it's in print, or I'll bring it up on another, on the PDF version that I have of the information that I'm giving to them on a flash drive. So I have it in writing. And the reason why I have it in print already, and it's not just something that we talk about, is because I present it as this is what it is. And if I want to alter it, I will alter it while I'm there, you know, going through it. This way it dissuades them it doesn't prevent them, but it dissuades them from trying to negotiate and to ask for something beyond that when you present it actually as a done deal. So after we talk about pricing, and I'll walk through the rest of the slides that are actually in the listing presentation because it's pretty much ingrained in my head. But after we go through the pricing slides, we actually then will pull out the actual CMA. And that I do print out because I like to be able to walk through with them and to be able to walk through some of the pictures if necessary. And we present that information. When we're done with that, we decide on the listing price. There's actually a chart. You've probably seen it, the pyramid chart, that talks about pricing, where if you want to price it for like the 1 in a million buyer that you might be able to find at a certain high price, that's not our objective. Our objective is to price it in the middle, where you're going to get the most number of potential buyers. You don't want to price at the bottom because we want them to get the most value out of the property. From there, we talk about showing. We talk about and go through some of the guidelines. There are 10 top guidelines for showing, like things like turning the lights on and doing that and how that all is going to work. We talk about accepting offers and the fact that we only accept written offers on their behalf and want to get their agreement to that because otherwise too many problems can happen from there. We talk about and try to warn them ahead of time that people may give very lowball offers. So here's a way to prevent some of the headaches that happen later. Warn them. You may get ridiculous offers, and you know what? A ridiculous offer is still an offer. How you choose to handle that, is different, but we still have something to work with, and we're going to be able to go from there. It's always their choice to say yes or no. And from talking about negotiating, what happens throughout the rest of the transaction, like inspection contingencies, we let them know about C of Os or fire safety inspections that might need to take place. Again, giving them all that information up front. And then we talk about closing and whether they need to attend the closing. And then we do something very important at the end, which is actually ask for their business. A lot of times we wait, and we wait for them to say whether they're willing to go ahead. There's nothing wrong with saying, I presented some information. How do you think we'll work together? Are you prepared to move forward? And then we get them
Probably the key thing. Somebody at the R4 convention asked me what the most important key thing was about the whole listing thing, and in my mind, it was ask for the business. You won't believe how many people don't, and they walk away, or what I know, check back with you in a week, or then they wait and see, and they wait, and the people really all along were ready to sign up. All you need to do was ask them.
Yeah, and they said, but you never asked.
But you never
Got to
asked.
ask for it. And why don't we ask for it?
Yeah, you're afraid of that
exactly.
no, right?
You're afraid they're going to say no. But you've got to do it. You've got to put yourself out there. So hopefully that was helpful in kind of just walking through a sample of kind of taking all the information that we talked about up front and just seeing how we put it all together. As we said, not the only way to do it, but it's a way that we've taken, and I'm sure you see in there, information that we've taken from all different places and just put it all together. And it works for us.
How many, based on what you saw today, how many listings do you think we're carrying right now?
30.
Dave and Vanessa. 30? Anybody else got a guess? 10?
75.
4. How many do we have pending?
30.
20. Okay. Isn't that the idea? We were, like a week ago, we had no listings. We got 4. We're doing all of this stuff, and we're selling them. I know of other agents. If you're carrying 30 listings, and you're carrying 30 listings in this market, you're doing something wrong, I think.
Going wrong.
Or something's not, if you're carrying 30 and you're turning them over pretty quick, okay, that's one thing. But if you got 30 listings, you should be, you either, and you're not, and you're doing everything right, you probably have to have a real good pipeline of listings coming in, a lot of leads. But if you're carrying 30 listings and not a lot that's coming in, something's not right. Something's not priced right. Something's off in my mind anyway. But we're only carrying 4 right now. We had none a week ago. We're getting 4, and we got them coming in pretty steady. But we're pricing them right. We're going through the whole thing. We're getting them prepared. People trust us, and we're getting a fair commission. It's not a commission discussion issue, but we're getting a fair commission for what we do, and we're putting them under contract. And so that's the whole idea, right? follow the procedures, and you'll get them under contract, and you'll keep them going, and you're serving your clients, and you're going to get referrals from these people.
Do you prefer to be in a niche market, or do you take anything?
No, we don't take anything. We work in, we live in Somerset Run, so we do some business in there. It's an active adult community, and there's a number of them around here. We're starting to do more. The video I showed you was an introduction to the first one. It was the first video we did there. But our market is essentially Central Jersey, Somerset and Hunterdon County. We'll go a little bit into Middlesex, but not too far. It's dangerous down here. I'm sorry? We deal more with past clients. We do. I have a new website we did. We do some search engine optimization. We have a lot of means to generate leads, but our primary thing is working by referral. We don't do, the only direct mail, we have one in the works for an active adult community. That's it. Direct mail, statistically, way low. It just doesn't work. If you measure direct mail, unless you have a niche market, real niche market that maybe you've already got a lot of traction in, a lot of traction going there, you've sold a lot of houses, direct mail can have a better benefit. But if you're just direct mailing to a place, the statistics are, it could be different for your market, something like 1%, and they got to see it 7 times. That's what I've seen. And that's a lot of mail to get a little bit of a thing. There's a new thing the post office has. It's changed some of that. Something mail direct. It's a way to just, you can send it to exact specific streets. That may work. We're going to do something in an active adult community, but that's because we have traction about the market there.
Who does your short sale negotiations?
I do.
Dave?
I do. Well, here's a short. You want a short sale thing? I did, last year, did 8 or 9 short sales. I retired from the short sale thing. I got them all done. Every one of them.
So 100% hit ratio?
100% hit ratio. Got them all done. But I look back at my time and my money and the effort I put into it. I got it down pat. I have a CDPE designation. I got it down. I know how to do short sales. But the time, the scanning of documents, just the whole process is the most inefficient process that I've ever come across. It's not to do with us. The banks are out of sync, the seller, it's a mess.
And it brings you down because it's so frustrating, and you're spending your time like this all the time that you lose energy and motivation and focus on other things.
I could have done, for those, I think 10 that I did, I could have done 30 regular real estate transactions in that same time frame. And had fun. It was rewarding because I helped people. I helped these people get out of a situation, and it was very rewarding. But from a business perspective, it was not a good thing.
The only thing I found out about the short sales is those people who clearly cannot buy refer you out.
Oh, sure.
Everyone.
Sure they do.
So
Right.
Right, they are.
But the energy just sucks you dry.
It does. It's not a good business thing, and it's really not the real estate industry's fault. If you have a CDP designation, you have resources that are like unbelievable, and training, and the banks, even Bank of America is very proactive in training agents and helping out. They really have the best system now, but it's still not, from a business perspective, it's tough. Too many hours.
So, we're going to do a formal end to the presentation because it is 12:30, and we just want to say, but we're still going to stay around if people still want to talk and, ask some questions. We're happy to do that. But number one, thank you for coming, and we really hope that you have found some ways to add some new things, infuse a little wow into your presentation, maybe make things a little different for those of you who maybe were kind of coasting a little bit, maybe you got some things that are going to jazz it up a little bit, and most importantly, we hope that it helps you get more listings that you want and helps you manage those listings effectively to avoid some of those headaches. So thank you.